Can't get my virtual
Ladies
screen.
and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors, Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.
Well, here we are, State Wars Hockey Podcast number 10. Back. I can't believe it's 10 episodes. Glass Half Full Productions here. I'm still making lemonade out of lemons, GT. How you doing today?
Yeah, just hanging in here, just getting the day going here with the podcast. Excited for our two guests today. Obviously we have some deep roots with them, two co-workers of ours and two good friends. So it should be fun.
Yeah, real excited. We're going to get to see some personalities here for sure. We got Shane Fox, who, like you said, works for us and has done it all in the sport, starting from playing at State Wars as a kid, playing as an adult in the Palma Pro Division, playing overseas, playing for Team USA, playing college roller hockey. He's hit every aspect of the sport, which makes me kind of jealous. And you've done that as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the opportunities today for people playing roller hockey. And then, of course, you got, Chris Trefty, who has done a lot too, broadcasting in the real world of hockey, broadcast for us, a great play-by-play guy. And we'll get into his playing a little bit too, because some may not know, but he's a pretty damn good player as well.
Yeah, it's funny, you think of Chris Treft and you're like, oh, he's the broadcaster for State Wars. He does all the play-by-play stuff. And little do people know, he's actually a pretty damn good hockey player as well. And we'll go over his stats a little later with him, and I'm sure he knows them all. Him. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to have him on. He's probably got some great stories with his broadcasting career, and that should be pretty cool. And obviously our good friend and my teammate, Shane Fox, such a good kid. And he's been playing all over the world these days, started playing in France after college, after his college career at Newman. He went over to France to play, and he's been over there the last couple of years, and should be cool to hear about that league as well.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many cool things going on internationally in the sport. We've had Tyler Kraft on at one episode who played overseas, Travis Snow, who's played overseas. So, and then next week, I think we're going to have PJ Cavaya come on with us, who's currently playing overseas and is still in France. So there's so many great players playing overseas from the United States. So it's going to be exciting to talk about that. Let's do some quick birthday shout outs while we're here. And those that feel left out when I reach out for birthdays, just so you know, I basically get them off my Facebook feed. So if we're friends on Facebook, I know your birthday. And unfortunately, if we're not friends on Facebook, like my mom's not on Facebook and I have trouble remembering her birthday these days. We rely on Facebook for birthday shout outs. So if I don't say your birthday, sorry, it just means I don't know it. But I don't see too many. I don't actually see anyone listed for today, but let's go over some birthdays we might have missed yesterday and some birthdays for tomorrow and coming up. So yesterday, Todd Melton, the original godfather of roller hockey, who had passed away a bunch of years ago, unfortunately, who was a great mentor of mine. It was his birthday yesterday. Emily Doran, who I know we did a shout out on our Instagram page, who's a good friend of ours from California, leads up the Palma women's team and works with us as well sometimes. Excuse me. Emily's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to her. I think she was 28. Michael Curtis, who's been a great player for State Wars for many years, starting out in Tennessee, and I think he was down in Georgia or Florida. His birthday was yesterday. Jason Deskins, an old friend of ours from Michigan, who was a great hockey player, big with Michigan teams and Team USA many moons ago. And Dave Hammond, I saw was his birthday yesterday, who we know from his Team Canada and now Namibia days, doing some cool things in Africa with Namibia. And then coming up, I saw we have Hunter Marzano, who worked with us last summer as a scorekeeper, real character from down in Florida. His birthday's tomorrow. Ryan Perry, a buddy of ours from now the newly found Rink Rat Detroit team, which hopefully will be playing at State Wars this summer. I know they're trying to get into the Palma Pro Division. So it was his birthday yesterday. Kim Mugan, who is one of our Korean directors. It was his birthday. It's his birthday tomorrow. I'm sorry, these are all guys' birthdays are tomorrow. Louis DeSimini, Tom Dunn, who used to play for us with the Snipers. And then I see over the weekend, we got Benny Frank, who leads up Canada for Team Canada and Canada Inline, a partner of ours there. And Brian Sharpie, a buddy of ours from Missouri, who you know real well, was a great hockey player way back in the day. His birthday. And lastly, on Sunday, I see we got some real characters. We got Nielsen Archibald, Archie, Cody Kettler, Phil Maroon. All their birthdays are on Sunday. So that's a crazy day for some hockey talent and characters coming into the sport.
Yeah, you also missed Max Alverson. You know, he had his birthday yesterday as well. We gave him a shout out.
He's I'm not friends with him on Facebook, I guess. So okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. That whole crew of characters on Sunday, huh? Between Phil Maroon and you said Archie and would you say Kettler?
Yeah.
Wow, all three.
That's a hat trick of mutts right there.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. That's for sure. And they all were actually part of Alkali last year. You know, Phil was on the bench with them, so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, you mentioned Max Alverson, so Max will be on the show next Tuesday. We're going to have him on, who's another young stud in the sport, teammate of Joey DiMartino, who we had on a couple weeks ago from the Tour Roadrunners, who's played at State Wars. He started out with Florida, and we'll tell some funny stories next week about that. And he's won multiple high scores in the division. Another great player from New Jersey. So we'll have him on next week. Anything interesting going on? I know, we got some nice weather today. What's going on in your world today, GT?
Yeah, nothing. You know, obviously we're just preparing for the pod this morning, and hopefully we'll sneak out later this afternoon after the podcast is over and get some fresh air. But other than that, just kind of hanging out. I know you took a trip to Chick-fil-A the other day. You said it was mobbed, huh?
Yeah, so the other day, my kids have been, we've been pretty much abiding by staying home as much as we can, even though I'll be honest, I'm starting to get sick of that and getting ready to start dipping my toes in the water a little bit, if you will. But they wanted to go to Chick-fil-A the other day. We haven't had it. And I finally gave in, and we said, all right, we'll do a little family trip to get everyone out of the house in the car. It was the first time we've all been in the car together since it started. So we took a little ride to Chick-fil-A, and I was shocked as we were pulling up, the line I saw through the drive-thru, and we were able to call in our order ahead of time. But we pull up and I see a line basically all around the building. And then as I drive around the building, I see the entire parking lot is full of cars that are basically being shuffled into the lot and then put in some different lines. And they were pretty organized with it. But then the line went outside the parking lot and down the block. So I had to go around the block, do a U-turn and get on this line of cars. So it's almost like being on a line for a ride at Disney World, except you're in your car. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I admitted to all my kids and my wife that it's a good thing they came with me, because had I gone alone, I probably would have went home and said, screw this, I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
Organized
chaos, right?
Yeah, and they did a good job with it. I mean, we were out of there, and it was probably 40 minutes from the time we got to the time we left.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't too terrible. And what else do we got to do?
Yeah, true.
But, it was organized chaos, like you said, and everything was fine. It was good to eat some Chick-fil-A. It just shows you, even during a pandemic, people want to get that Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. We actually went a couple weeks ago as well. We were up on the North Shore. And every time we go up there, in the Mount Sinai, Miller Place area, we always stop there. So we were up there, we're like, we gotta go. So we ended up pulling in, and like you said, it was chaos. And but it was well worth it. I love it. So
we always said we wish we opened up Chick-fil-A, It's I know last summer when we were there, it's funny, we'll have Treft on today, who I think ordered 3 meals for himself when we were there on State Wars tab, but that line was out the door, I remember, in Fort Wayne. Remember?
Yeah, it's always crazy there. And it's funny, I think it's really hard to get a franchise going. I heard they look at your high school grades, your college grades, you need like diplomas. Yeah, I heard it's pretty strict there.
They're pretty religious too, I think, right? It's pretty Catholic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So if you said a swear word in the last 5 years, they won't hire you. So I'd be screwed. Other than that, I've been Netflix new show. I started watching the show Fauda, Fauda. So anyone at home who's looking for something to watch on Netflix, pretty good show. It's basically about, Palestinian Israeli type conflict in Israel between the Jewish people and the Arab Muslims and stuff, and all the craziness that goes on there. Kind of like a Homeland type show in Israel. You got to get through, the language part of it. You got to watch with subtitles and stuff because most of it's spoken in Hebrew or Arabic. But you could. It's funny. I actually changed it one time so they speak English, but then the mouths are moving one way and the words are coming out different. I just couldn't watch it like that, so I just been watching with the subtitles. But pretty crazy show, and just such a crazy part of the world watching that. I told a buddy yesterday that I'd rather live in the United States during the coronavirus than live there during a normal time. It's just crazy what goes on there and just how scary it is, things that go on. But definitely, from the entertainment side of it, pretty well done show. And if you're looking for something to watch, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I like that type of stuff, so I'll be tuning in pretty soon. Yeah, I haven't really been watching too much. I watched Summer House last night. Love that show.
Yep.
It's funny, actually, one of the guys on the show, Luke, he's from Minnesota, but I see he's friends with our buddy Tristan Gardner in
Right.
Manhattan. So I guess he probably, skates at Chelsea Piers with those guys. So that's pretty
cool.
funny. Yeah, there's a hockey guy in the show. He's not too well liked by some of the girls, but how many hockey guys really are,
I think when people go on those shows, they try to act different just to get, you want to stand out,
Yeah.
and become the one everyone's talking about later on, right? And maybe get another show.
Yeah, the girls do that a lot. A lot of the girls in those shows, obviously, like Too Hot to Handle, that Francesca girl. You could tell she was in it for the fame and the Instagram followers. But that's another show.
I was into that show for her. It's just,
yeah,
she won me over.
Yeah, me too. That's for sure. But other than that, nah, nothing really else going on. I finished the episode number 6 of MJ. So that was pretty cool to see, and looking forward to the next episodes this Sunday. So that should be good.
Yeah, I guess the biggest news to announce right now before we bring Shane on is, with State Wars, we've made the decision now. We are going to move our dates back slightly. So the tournament is going to run August 1st, August 10th at the Taylor Sportsplex in Michigan. Talking with the rink director there and whatnot. We just think it's a smart move to give us a little bit more time, move into the new month, which gives us basically 3 months from now to prepare for stuff. So I'll be sending out emails later on today and putting all the information out on social media with the new block dates. So we apologize for any change on anyone's scheduling, and if anyone had booked a flight or whatnot, I know airlines are very easygoing right now with changes and whatnot. I know the hotels are going to redo all the blocks for us, so it's just really more of a necessity than just wanting to do that. But we moved it back a little bit, squeezed the dates a little bit tighter, and just got it over with before. We got to get over before school starts in places, which was a big headache. I'd rather have had it towards the end of August even, but with school starting around that second week of August in a lot of places, we got it over that 1st to 10th. So we'll send more information out about that, but that's probably, the biggest news on the State Wars front. But we are real excited about going back to the Taylor Sportsplex this summer, and God willing, we expect to have a great tournament for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good move. Just condense the tournament and push it back a little bit. Just really makes sense, if people did book flights, I'm sure, we had to cancel a bunch of flights as well for State Wars, and it was so easy to do. And they were really easy to deal with. So I don't see that being an issue with people. So I think all in all, it's the best thing that could happen. Pushing it back later is
it can't hurt, right?
It really can't hurt. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's awesome. And we'll shoot that out on social media today and send an email out to everyone as well. So
yeah, no, for sure. So I got a little pinched nerve in my neck today. If you see me doing this a lot today, that's what that means, Greg. Just all this sitting around has been killing my body. Without further ado, let's bring on Foxy here, Shane Fox. So let's get him on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavalla, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
What's up, boys?
There he is.
There we go.
What's up, Foxy?
So Foxy.
So when you hear that voice, PJ Cavalla from afar, it must give you shivers a little bit, thinking he's in the room with you.
He's your old roommate on the road.
Oh yeah, always.
I see you got your hat collection back there.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, walk us through the hat collection back there, Foxy. What do you got?
Oh my God, I'm sure you guys have every single one. It's all the mission hats,
Okay.
all the missions and the betas, pretty much from over the years. You know, I have to wear them right now because I haven't gotten a haircut since all this started.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with you, bud.
Yeah, you are.
You know, I'm just happy at 47 to have some, so I'm okay with it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I hope to be there too.
Greg's got his mission cap on today too, supporting the boys.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Little State Wars shirt as well.
nice.
There you go. So Foxy, you know, we're gonna spend some time here today. We're gonna talk a little bit about your hockey career, how you got started, whatnot. So before we really get into anything, let's just talk a little bit about, you know, you grew up in New Jersey, obviously South Jersey. What got you started in hockey?
So before I moved to Jersey, when I lived in Philly, I remember going to this rink, Gianneri, I think it was called. It was in Northeast Philly with my dad, and I think he would play games, and then after the games, I'd be able to get on the rink. I was really young at the time, and that's really where I started playing. And then after I moved to Jersey, I played a lot of soccer growing up, and I think I was in elementary school. My dad was trying to get me to try out for the Cougars, which are run out of Skater's Choice, it was called back then. And I think I was 10 years old at the time. So tried out for this team, and I just remember being god awful. I could skate really fast, couldn't stop. I would always be wheeling and just smoking to the boards instead of using the brakes back then. But yeah, I started off playing Cougars when I was 10, and then just fell in love with the sport and kept playing from there.
Yeah. So your dad told me your first clinic was actually at the Coliseum in Voorhees.
I did play at the Coliseum, yeah.
And he
I
said
forgot about that.
legendary player, New Jersey player, Matty Denton, actually ran your first clinic.
Yeah,
He was an old Mudcat, and he said it was so tough trying to get you on the rink.
Yeah, I hated it.
He said
I was so bad.
He said he had to bribe you with a Pokemon card. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
It's funny, the more people you talk to, you hear so many stories about kids that obviously players that are so great now that when they started, they were just awful, you know, and I think that's a lesson to a lot of parents at home that think that, hey, if my kid's going to be good, as soon as I put them on the ice or on the wheels or really any sport, they're going to shine automatically. And if they don't, maybe we got to move on to something else, maybe get the violin or something. And that's normally not the case. I remember when I started, I was 10, I think. My mom signed me up for an outdoor league. Took me to the store. The first question is, is he lefty or righty? And, like most parents, the answer is, he's righty. So I get a righty stick, play all year with it, and I'm a lefty. And was probably the worst player in the entire league. And quit. And then came back 2 years later and just started playing on my own, and then just, fell in love with it and took off from there. But most kids aren't superstars right out of the womb.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, I was awful when I first started. Like I said, I could skate, but I could never stop. It took me probably a year or two to get it really down.
It's not a natural thing for most people. I know when your dad, he was probably going crazy, calling you every name under the sun when you were 3 years old that you weren't any good yet.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to go in a time machine here back to State Wars. So first year of State Wars was 2005 in Bensenville, Illinois. And Shane, you played on the New Jersey 94 team. So here's a shot of you in the locker room with a few of the teammates that first year. You can see your dad looked like he ordered you a goalie cut jersey the first year. So you remember that time at all? Do you remember the first?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I was, I guess it was 05. Oh, wow. I was 10 years old. So, I remember the tryouts that were ran in North Jersey at the time, trying out, getting so hyped that I made the team, and just the atmosphere at State Wars back then and still now, just for kids, it was just unbelievable. And we had a decent team. I think that we would always have a hard time getting into the AAA division. We would get smoked by the Michigan, New York teams, but yeah, I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm looking here. So in 2005, you guys went 2-2 in the round robin. You lost 6-4 to a very good Missouri team, who I think won the whole thing. Corey Kettler led
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
And you lost 5-4 to North Carolina that year in the round robin. And then in the quarterfinals in the playoffs, you played Missouri again and lost 6-2 to them that year in 2005. And then you jumped into 2006, and you guys went 2-1-1 this year. So here you are the next year. Definitely looking a little bit better already, head up, whatever. That year you guys lost to Michigan in the round robin 4-2, led by Brandon Hawkins, another stud player in today's game. And you tied Georgia 3-3. Then you went on to the playoffs and you beat Georgia 3-2 in overtime. Can you recall who scored the game-winning goal? It wasn't you. Do you remember who scored the game-winning goal in overtime? Your first playoff win as a New Jersey player at State Wars?
God. I don't remember. I'll take a guess. I'm gonna go with maybe, was it a forward or a defenseman?
I'm gonna give you a hint. He was the high scorer in 2005 of the whole division, the '94 division. He played on your team.
Really?
19 points the first year.
Who's this? Was his name Zach?
Nope, Vincent Russo.
Vince Russo. Oh my God, I forgot about him. Yeah, Vince Russo and Vince Correa, two Vinces.
Yeah, he was a stud, Russo. I remember.
Yeah, he was. He was really good.
But that year, you guys you beat Georgia in overtime, and then you lost 3-2 to Hawkins in Michigan, and then you wound up going to the bronze medal game, and you lost 4-2 to New York, a John Chavo-led team. So we definitely see a relation here, Greg, in the '94 division of players that are great today. You got a Kettler, you got a Fox, you got a Hawkins, you got a Chavo. Kids that were great then are doing great things now, which is pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, do you remember playing against those guys back then?
Yeah,
too?
yeah, of course. Well, I played with Chavo a lot back then too, so I knew Chavo well. I think I might have played a tournament or two with Hawkins, and Kettler. I played against him my whole life. Never really played with him, but yeah, we would always have some good battles.
Well, it's funny because in 2006 you led your team in points, and that was the one year you made Team America. There's a picture that's from 2007. We did our little team pictures, goof around. But I think, Greg, we got a Team America picture.
Yeah, we did.
Shane. So in 2006, this was you. You led your team in points, 10 points. It's funny. We'll use it for another podcast, but we found a nice picture of a little chubby Hawkins making Team America that same year with you, which we'll bust his chops about on a different week. But then in 2007, you see the improvement of your team. You guys went 2-0-2 the next year. You tied Pennsylvania 1-1, and you actually tied Missouri 2-2, who was your nemesis up to that point. But again, you lost to them in the quarters that year. And there's a team picture from the third year with Pedro coaching, a young Dennis Jelsic in the background.
And a Wolf.
Chris Wolf, yeah.
Chris Wolf coaching you guys.
Yeah, they were fun times, fun tournaments. I love that location in Chicago too. Those rinks were awesome.
Yeah, we love the Edge, Bensonville, that main rink, which was pretty cool for the awards. I'd love to have our tournament there one day and get some Palma Pro games on that main rink. Skyboxes and whatnot was always pretty cool for us.
Yeah, it's a perfect roller rink. It's like the St. Louis one.
Yeah, no, for sure. So then, you had those 3 years here playing for New Jersey. Then you kind of disappeared for a few years. We didn't see. Oh, there's a good picture from the third year. That year, you'd also play with us as snipers. So Shane was a sniper from the get-go. Here he is wearing his sniper stickers on his helmet and gloves. He played at Narch with us that year. But here's a couple good shots from State Wars 3 in 2007 of Foxy.
I don't know how I seen with that hair in my face.
Some good ones.
Yeah, it was a style back then.
Then you had a bunch of years. You obviously played Juggernaut. You played junior and all that good stuff. Playing with Pennsylvania when you were in college. You were able to play with the PA boys, which was fun for you guys. And then in 2015, obviously, the Palma Pro division had started. And you've been playing with the Snipers. So that's our first year winning it. So just some thoughts on that first year. Obviously, you'd already been playing pro for a couple of years with us. But then, the bar has been elevated and how tough it was for that first year. You remember anything about the first Palma Pro year?
I do. I remember that was the year we had KJ and Billy on our squad, right? Black Ice didn't go and play.
Yeah, you can see him in the middle there in the picture.
Yeah, Hold on 1 second. I don't know what this is doing. Oh, my screen's being weird. Yeah, I remember that year. That was the year that I played offense with Siggy for the first time, and I haven't played offense since maybe I was 10 years old. And we were at tours, and you were telling me, "Yeah, I think you're playing offense with Sigmund this morning." I'm like, "Offense? Are you kidding me?" And luckily that tournament I was on the line with Sigmund, so I didn't have to do too much. I was scoring pretty easily with him passing me the puck. But I think that tournament when we came to State Wars, you wanted me to play offense again, and I just had a rough first game, and I think we switched back. But yeah, we had a really stacked lineup. We had Mikowski on our team. We had yeah, like I said, the Black Ice Boys. DiMartino ended up not showing up and playing. He was supposed to play with us, but yeah, that tournament was unreal. I remember I think we barely made playoffs that year.
Yeah, we were 2-2. We had to win the last game against the Border Cats to squeak in, and we did. And then we wound up winning in quarter semis finals. But yeah, I remember that year too. When we were at tours, I grabbed Shane and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna have you play forward this tourney." And he looked at me like I was a moron, and he wound up leading the entire tournament in scoring. And whether he could say because he had Siggy on his line or not, that definitely helped. But Shane obviously played great. And I looked at him after we won that tournament because I think we won that year. And I just was like, okay, what do you got to say now, Shane? And you still weren't sure. And we went to State Wars, and you played more D that one because I could tell you just really wanted to play D. So we moved you right back. But yeah, you definitely played a little forward that year. But yeah,
plus,
so the snipers.
Plus
Sorry,
we
jump in there.
Yeah, plus we had KJ and Billy for that State Wars tournament, so that worked out well having them on offense, and then it was easy to move Shane back. But after that tours tournament, Shane went on to the Team USA camp with us and made Team USA for the first time after that tours tournament. So, you never know.
I remember Cook coming up to me before the tryout, and he's like, "What are you trying out for offense? Or are you trying out for defense?" I was like, "I'm trying out for defense still."
Yeah, so that kind of opened some eyes up.
I remember being mad at that, Greg. I'm like, the kid just won high score as a forward, and now we're moving him back to D again. And for USA, I was like, okay. But that definitely got Shane some looks, I think, because he was scoring so many goals at tours.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. But then with the Palma Pro, so everyone knows the story by now. We talked about it with Whitey the other day and whatnot. But we won in 15, we won in 17, and won in 2019. So we have 3 wins in 5 years. Overall for Shane, in 91 games played at State Wars overall, he's got 61 goals, 48 assists, 109 points career-wise at State Wars. That's including Palma Pro. So not too shabby, over a point per game. But, obviously one of the most important pieces of the sniper team. And, I know for a couple of years, Shane would play with Black Ice if we weren't going to a tournament. So he's had the benefit of playing with 2 great teams, and definitely probably has as many gold medals as he has hats hanging behind him.
That's for sure.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, so we have a clip from last year. Nice little goal against Rinkrat in the semifinal game that I'll pull up right now. What's great about this goal is, it was a shorthanded goal. It was on a huge penalty kill when the score was 3-1. And not only was the shot nice, but it was you actually like busting your butt to join the play to make the goal happen. And of course, Siggy put it right on your tape. So we'll play it right now.
The volume up, Greg? Greg, what I love about that goal overall, and if we don't mention Kavaya, we'll have to hear about it later. So, on the kill, and PJ's, probably one of the best penalty killers in the game. He made that play in the boards, chipped it up to Siggy, knowing that Siggy's going to be there. And Rinkrat kind of took the chance of going all for nothing for the puck. And like you said, once PJ made that play, Shane just busted it and turned it into a 2-on-1 where, a lot of guys would have just stayed put where Shane was. And then, it's just Siggy trying to go one, probably just dumping it down, but turned it into a goal. And Siggy made a gorgeous sauce pass there, and Foxy, like normal, buried it.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the bench. All you guys were freaking out, telling me to stay back, because I realized that I had my dude beat, and I knew that Sigmund was going to just put it right there, like he always does. I was like, oh, I'm already wheeling. I got to keep going. But yeah, it was a huge goal.
Yeah, you kind of hesitated at first, and then you just kind of exploded. And I think it was Joaquin that was behind you. When you kind of faked like you were going to go, when you hesitated. So I don't think he really knew you were going to go right away. And obviously, you just beat him with a couple steps. So
yeah, Siggy put it right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that was a huge play by Cavalla. He blocked the shot, and then he chipped it. So that was great play by everyone on the rink there.
Yep. Right, we're gonna tell a funny story here. So talking about Shane coming to the Snipers as a pro player. Greg and I were sitting in a bar. I don't know if it was the Honky Tonk or whatever that 3-level bar is in Nashville. Is it the Honky Tonk? Is that what it's
That's
called?
That's the Honky Tonk, yeah. Okay. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but yeah, it was the Honky Tonk.
So we were sitting up on the 3rd floor, Greg and I having a couple lemonades, and just talking about the team and where we're going and whatnot, and obviously concerned about our team getting older and what we got to do to keep up with the youngsters of the division. And what year would you say that was, Greg?
Was it 15, Shane, or 13? No, 13.
I started playing Snipers. My first year was 14, maybe. I think it was 14.
Yeah, so around that time, so Greg and I were talking, and I don't remember who said it first, but we were just like, what about Fox? Shane Fox. He's not playing pro with anyone. At this point, you weren't playing with black guys like really, you like a fill-in. And we're like, yeah, I mean, I think he can play pro. Like, you think he can hang, And so we texted Kyle Kramer, who's like the captain / GM of the team. And we said, what about Fox? And he was like, I think, and we're going back and forth. And I'm like,
he's like, I don't really know him.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sure he didn't know me then.
Yeah.
So we texted, your dad, because we know your dad, and just said, hey, you think Shane would play, pro? And he's like, fuck yeah, he will, Yeah. So we picked Shane up right after that, and immediately, obviously, he was a great player. But I remember that first year, we went to Narch, and we were the number 1 seed, and Black Ice was the 8th seed, and we had a god awful game, and they played a great game, and that was kind of like their coming out party, and they beat us and went on to win their first Narch Pro Division, which was a big deal then. And I remember just thinking, feeling bad for you, because here you are, you came to us when you had played some with them and they were all your buddies really. And then to play them and to lose to them and they won their first one, kind of had to feel a little shitty, right?
Oh yeah, that was probably the worst feeling ever. Obviously I was happy for all of them that they won Narch for the first time, Narch Pro. But I remember that year, like Greg sends me a text while I'm in college. I'm at the house, and I think DiMartino is right next to me. And Thompson's like, how would you like to play pro with the defending champs or something? Because I think you guys won in 2013 in Canada. And I'm like, what did he really say? And I showed PJ, and he's like, no way, like, get out of here. So obviously I say, yeah. And yeah, because like you said, I wasn't playing pro with Black Ice, and I was playing with Roadrunners the first 2 years I could play pro. So
you played more D1 and junior with Black Ice, right?
Yeah. So I agree to it, and then like you said, we go there and we end up losing to them all. It was the worst feeling ever.
Yeah, I remember making that call with Tim. We were driving. We were up in the mountains in Tennessee, and we were like losing service. We were like in and out of service, heading to Georgia, and we got Shane on the horn. So that was it.
I always like my lefties, Greg. You know that. So
I know.
Got a big lefty there and Foxy. So, other than the Palma Pro Division, which obviously has been very successful for you, after that, you've had the ultimate honor, as a lot of guys we've had on this podcast so far have had. You got a chance to play for Team USA 3 times. So the first time, as Greg mentioned, after that Tours tournament, Joe Cook took a chance with you. I think he took you as like an alternate D. I think you guys had like 7D, which kind of sucks, but you got a chance to go there for that youth player, be that experience. You got to go to Finland. You only had 2 points in 5 games, but like we said, your minutes were kind of limited, and you guys did not medal that year. But But then 2 years later, the next IHF tournament, team for Slovakia, made the team again. This year I was coaching with Joe. Obviously went on to win the gold medal. 6 games played, you had 3 goals. There's a big goal you had there. We won the gold medal. The biggest thing I remember about Foxy that tournament, Greg, and this is something that a lot of people won't know, is he didn't have a point through the first 3 games, our 3 round robin games. He didn't have a point, and he was playing a lot. Like, we had 3 lines, everyone played equal. He was playing with PJ DiMartino on D, who kind of I ran the D, and kind of my philosophy has always been one guy's going to take chances, the other guy's going to be back. And on that line, for whatever reason, that year, that tournament, PJ was more the roamer and Shane kind of stayed back, which was fine. It worked fine. We were winning. But I could tell Shane was getting frustrated because, of course, you want to chip in, you feel point-wise too. But through the first 3 games going into the playoffs, Shane hadn't had a point, which you look at his State War stats and later on his college stats is just, not a Foxy thing to do. So we go to the quarterfinals against Germany, and he scored the second goal of the game and put us up. And we wound up winning the game 4-1. It wound up being the game-winning goal. And you could just see the blood come back into Shane's face. And I could just see, looking at him, because I know him so well from coaching him, you could just see that his game was just raising now because of that. And then we played Czech in the semifinal. He scored the first goal of the game. And then we scored the championship game against Finland, the gold medal game, which I think you got a clip of. And that's where that picture's from. He scored the first goal again. So he went from not having a point to being a big-time playoff player, scoring 3 goals in 3 games in the playoffs, 2 of them to start the game, which is, Greg, the first goal of the game is usually the big one. Let's take a little video of this Finland game. So gold medal game, Shane Fox with the first goal of the game. Get that volume up.
Yeah, what's great about that goal, the viewers at home can't see this, but I went back and watched the full game the other day. It was on YouTube. But Shane made a great defensive play before that. He kind of slid, broke up a 2-on-1, and then got the puck and went down and scored. So that was just an all-around awesome play. Obviously, great shot, and it got the team going. That first goal is so important. So that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. I remember, making the D play. If anyone's seen it, I lay out and I literally think the puck hits like the tip of my wheel. So I just got like a wheel on the puck, and then I was out, and I was just like you said, I scored the first goal against Czech too. And before the game, Travis came up to me. He's like, Foxy, he's like, start us out again this game. So I just kind of closed my eyes and threw one on net, and luckily it went in.
Yeah, he went across the green and just fired. So
yeah,
that was awesome. Nice
the
shot.
tale of 2 tournaments here for you, Shane. In 15, you went, obviously you're excited just to go, and it's eye-opening, but you really didn't play a ton, and obviously the team, struggled a little bit. But then that 2017, it had to feel like a whole new world for you, being a key ingredient of the team, and then obviously winning the gold medal for the first time internationally.
Oh, it was unreal. It was probably my most memorable win ever. But like you said, in 2015, I was just very grateful to make the team. I think that having a good tours tournament that time had a lot to do with Joe just picking me up for the team. So yeah, I was really honored to just be a part of Team USA for the first time that year. And then obviously in 2017, knowing that I'd have a bigger role in the team, it felt good. And yeah, winning was unbelievable. The group of guys we had, the coaching staff, everything. We had a great tournament. It was really fun.
It's funny, that first year in Finland, I remember, I think it was, on our way there, Shane, this is his first time traveling like overseas.
Yeah.
He lost his laptop.
Yep.
So I'm in touch with his mother, texting her or Facebook Messenger and just letting her know like what's going on. She's just like, what is he doing? This guy.
Yeah, it was a brand new. It was like a year-old MacBook too.
Yeah.
I think somebody snagged it from me, if I can remember right.
Yeah, we thought you left it behind on the belt at the airport, but yeah, that's something I'll never forget. And you lost
that was a terrible way to start the trip. I remember looking into my bag when we were in Finland. I'm like, hold on, where's my laptop?
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the difference of the countries. So you were in Finland, then you were in Slovakia, obviously two different worlds.
Oh yeah, a lot different. Personally, I enjoyed Finland a lot more. Slovakia was really hot when we were there, and we had no air conditioning in the hotel. The hotel was terrible. Um, Finland. I mean, the food in Finland wasn't the best, so we were finding ourselves going to McDonald's and places like that a lot. But the atmosphere in Finland and like the parties and all that were really fun. And yeah, Slovakia wasn't my favorite, but it was a little more yeah, like I said, really hot there, and it was still a cool experience though going there.
Yeah, I'll tell a funny story about the hotel. So when we got to Slovakia as a team, we pull up to this beautiful hotel, and Dan Brennan, who was our general manager from USA Hockey, him and I go inside to check the team in. And then we walk into this grand lobby. It's like a 5-star hotel. It's beautiful. And they don't have our name down for checking in. And Dan's like arguing with them back and forth. And finally he realizes that, oh, we're in the wrong hotel. And the manager's like, no, you're at so-and-so. And he points across the street to where this other hotel is. So okay, no big deal. So we get back in the bus and we get our stuff out. And we got to walk down this area to go to this other hotel. And it's like a little, like the first one we looked at was, say, like a Marriott. It was a regular branded hotel. You remember what the name of the hotel was? I forgot what it was called. It'll come to me later on. And we walk up to it, and it's a little small looking, dirty looking thing from the outside. And this was my first time overseas. And I go up to the room, and I'm trying to figure out how to put the air conditioning on. So I call the front desk, and I said, excuse me, can you tell me how to put the AC on? And once the guy stopped laughing, he says, open the window. So I hang up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It was so hot. The sun rises there at about 3:30 a.m. So when the heat starts and the sun starts coming in your room, if you wake up, you're fucked. You're not falling back asleep. So if you wake up at 4 a.m. from the sun and the heat, you can't fall back asleep. I remember the first night there, it was so hot that I took about 25 showers, and I would run in the shower, take a freezing cold shower, run out naked, just jump on top of the bed and just try to fall asleep as quick as I could, which is, Greg, I'm not a great sleeper. I couldn't do it. And I'd run back in the shower, cool down again, run out. And this went on all night. And finally, by day 3, I think it was, they got fans for everyone. And Dan sent the guy to the store, and each one of us got our own personal little fan, like a little old school fan. And we put it together. You had to build it. And it'd be basically next to your bed and blowing in your face the entire trip. And that was just how you could stay cool. And as bad as we thought we had it, we were at lunch one day, and we were talking to one of the teams in the lower division, and they were at an even worse hotel, and their hotel had no shades. So the sun's coming in all the time, and they had to hang up towels and jerseys and stuff on the windows just to keep the sun from coming in. So it wasn't the most pleasurable hotel experience.
Yeah, I remember I think like 3 or 4 of us. So this is when we were in Chicago. It was, Chicago that year for tryouts. We went to Walmart, and we were getting stuff to just bring with us over there. So a few of us got little like personal fans to bring. And once we brought them over and we plugged them in, they blew up. So I think 4 of us, they all did the same thing. We all like met up after and we're like, yeah, did your fan blow up? And literally the thing was smoking in our room.
That's why, Greg, when we were at Fort Wayne last year and says, oh, the rink's a little warm, I look at Shane and we're like, yeah, this ain't warm, buddy. You don't know what warm is.
Yeah, luckily
Exactly.
they turned the AC on for the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
But for
we
the
talked
round
about
robin
that with Travis that day, how they put it on finally.
Yeah, it was unreal.
But then, with Team USA, well, let me ask you this, Shane, as a defenseman, and Greg's on it too, but for you, how different was it? Now, I know in Slovakia, they actually was an NHL-sized rink, but in Finland, did you guys play in an Olympic rink that year?
Yeah, it was huge in Finland.
So as a defenseman, that changed your whole game, right? I mean, just your angles and everything, it changes stuff playing on that big rink,
Yeah, for the few shifts a game I was getting, it definitely affected a little bit. But yeah, I guess we were kind of used to it a little bit because playing over in the U.S. and at like Narc and State Wars and everything, there's we use the bigger rinks, but coming and playing in France that I've been the last few years, the rinks are a lot smaller, so it's completely different game.
I mean, Greg, what do you remember from playing on Olympic rinks? Because I remember when I played in a couple ice hockey tournaments as a forward. I remember coming out of a corner one time and I felt like I had 10 strides to the net. Must change how you have to approach the game as a defenseman, right?
Yeah, you always have to see where you are on the rink, gapping up and stuff like that. And obviously double eye check with the lines, with the offsides and stuff like that. You want to play that put that in account as well. But also, US is normally, one of the better skating teams in the tournament. So, for us, I think skating wasn't really an issue. Gap it up and stuff like that. I don't think that was ever an issue with that, with the size,
Okay.
So.
Now for Team USA, Foxy, then, 2018, we didn't have a US tournament. There was no international tournament to go to. So in 2019, Shane came to Barcelona in his first World Skate tournament, which was the old Fears, is now called World Skate. We played at the World Roller Games. Greg and I coached together for that team, as many as you probably know. Foxy made the team again every year, getting to become more and more a bigger part of that team. So Shane, in that tournament, you had 6 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. You had 3 points against Italy, 3 against Swiss, and 1 point against your nemesis, your buddies from France. You had a big goal in that game. I think we got a video of a great scene here where, I'm going to set the stage here. Packed crowd, pro-French, big time. And that's the less busy side of the crowd you could see there. It was pretty busy there. Loud, obnoxious, just people wanted us to lose. They scored the first goal of the game. Place went crazy. We came back. And here's a play you'll see roll through where I'm assuming, Shane, some of these guys. Guys stick Shane in the gut a little bit, and then we get a power play off it, and Shane has the last laugh. So before we talk about it, let's roll it. Got to feel pretty good when you score the goal after drawing the penalty, right?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, like you said, I play so the goalie and the kid that cross-checked me, they play on this team in France that we play against a lot, and I always get into it with these two guys. The goalie's a hothead, and so is that kid. And I just remember it. Obviously, it was a little douchey move by me to celebrate like that. I both hands up, and I was going right to the goalie, but I know that those refs over there call everything. So if you dive and somebody like hits you a little bit, they're most likely going to call it. So as soon as that kid gave me a little cross check, I might have exaggerated a little bit, but I knew we were going to get a power play out of it. And yeah, it felt awesome to score after that.
Is that what the goalie said to you? Did he call you kind of a puss or something for dropping down there?
I don't remember what he said. I probably couldn't understand him too well, but I think me and PJ were chirping him a little bit right there.
Yeah, I remember before the game, you were saying this goalie was just a loose cannon,
Oh, yeah.
I remember before the game watching him because I was trying to figure out who the starting goalie was going to be. And he had like all his equipment off. He had like ice packs all over him. So he was going crazy. And I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to start. And he ended up hopping in the pipes. And I remember you're like, yeah, he's a hothead. So make sure you guys get under his skin a little bit. And looks like you did that pretty well.
Yeah. Once you put 1 or 2 in on him, he's ripping his helmet off. He's talking to the refs, trying to blame this person, trying to blame that person. He's a good guy off the rink,
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, he's definitely a hothead on the rink.
Now I know you said you loved Finland compared to Slovakia, but I'm going to take a guess here and say that Barcelona was your favorite spot out of all 3.
Oh, by far. Barcelona was it's probably the most fun I've ever had on a hockey trip in my life.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Great city, right?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Now, how different was it for you? Well, I guess you play overseas, so it wasn't as different, but it's definitely a different game playing on the smaller rinks, smaller nets. And then, as you know, these countries, they take so much pride in where they're from, and they give it their all, and they work so hard. It's definitely not easy.
No, it's not at all. Yeah, the rinks are a lot smaller. The European game style is a lot different than what we're used to over here. But I know some people have been interested to see what the game would be if we moved. What if State Wars Palmer Pro was on one of these smaller rinks? I think the game would just be completely different, honestly, because over there it's more of like like an ice hockey style play. People dump the puck in, they take shots from everywhere, try to get to the net, use deflections. But yeah, you don't have as much room to work with. But I think the American style benefits me a little more. But it's cool getting used to it and playing a different style.
No, it definitely changed everything. Smaller nets especially. So after Team USA, let's talk a little about working. So was Michigan your first year working at State Wars in the summer, right?
Yeah, it was Tail. I think I went to California with you guys for my
Right.
internship and worked there.
Right.
But yeah, that was my first nationals. Yeah.
And so 2017, Shane, we were lucky enough to have him join our staff, and we have a pretty small group of guys that work. And Shane was kind of the new guy. Most guys, we've had guys like Brian Richford and Greg that have been with us since 2005. So we got Shane in the mix. He worked in Winter Wars with us, but 2017 and Taylor was his first time working the event. And just like any player, I think his eyes were opened a lot to just all the work that goes in behind the scenes of not only any tournament, but especially State Wars with the uniforms and everything else. So just talk a little bit about what the eye-opening experience was at first coming to work there.
Well, yeah, like you just said, the uniform part. If anybody's been up in that room in Taylor, we had that entire room full of boxes getting out millions of uniforms. But yeah, it was a lot different coming in. When the pro division was going on, I was working a lot. So little gassed, but yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it that people don't realize.
What about dealing with parents?
Could be sucks sometimes, definitely having parents come up to you and bitching about their kids' stats and this and that. But for the most part, they're not the worst. You get one or two that are pretty bad, but yeah, some of them are decent.
Greg and I were talking earlier. We were reminiscing a little bit, and we were reminded of a story that first year where we sent Shane to go deal with a coach of a team. We won't get into who the team was or whatnot, but a very young, I think it was a 6 on the team, Greg. And we had an issue with, I guess the coach wanted to get in the locker room really early. And, there was a game still going on, so they couldn't get in yet, and which was just the norm, but the coach was going crazy about it. So Shane went down just to settle the guy down and just explain to him. And I guess the guy basically told Shane to go screw off or whatnot and went nuts on Shane. And Shane came back up to the office, Greg, and he looked like his dog just died. He had just this look on his face, and it was almost a shock of he expected, I think, to go down there and be like, hey, I'm Shane Fox, I'm Team USA, I'm on the Snipers, I'm a Palmer Pro champion, and the guy was looking at him like, I don't give a shit who you are, you're an idiot, and I think it was Shane's reality check of these people. They don't care who we are. To us, they're just a guy in khakis with a Sharpie in our hand. They don't care. It's all about them. And that was Shane's, I think, first experience with seeing that side of that.
Yeah, he might have told me to F off a few times, but I was letting him know to calm it down a little bit, and then people were getting out of the locker room. He wanted to get ready like an hour before his game. I told him he's got plenty of time, but he wasn't having it.
He thought it was IIHF. And here's a shot of you with our next guest, Chris Treft. When you guys coached a mixed team last year. I know you dealt with some crazy parents with that group too. But it's always fun when you're dealing with parents and whatnot. But don't worry, we sent GT down there to set that guy straight, right, Greg?
Yeah, I ended up going down there after that. I think they had a championship game, and he wanted everyone in the locker room, hour and a half before, hour beforehand, just to get ready. And I had to put my foot down and smooth it over, So it was all good after that.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy.
Wow.
So let's talk college for a minute. I mean, you played at Newman University, which is local to where you live. You played there for did you play 5 years? I guess you played there, right?
Yeah,
Um,
5 years.
I guess you should be a surgeon by now.
Yeah, I was on the 5-year plan.
So stat wise, there and just shows a little bit about. I don't know if it's about the goaltending in the college league or how good Shane Schott is, but in 171 games played, 232 goals, 223 assists for 455 points, which is just ridiculous. But what do you think back? You think about your college experience?
College was the best time of my life. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't know exactly what I was going to do for college at first. And I think I committed to going to Newman like a month before the semester started, not even. But yeah, my hockey career at Newman was awesome. It was like I said, the best 5 years of my life, and living with all those guys and playing hockey every other day with them. We had a decent team my first year, and then my second year we should have won. I think that was in Aston, Pennsylvania, when we had the nationals, and it was in our hometown, literally 5 minutes from our school. And we ended up losing to Lindenwood that year, and we had a packed crowd. Everybody from our school was there. It was awesome. And then we ended up actually beating Lindenwood in Missouri the next year after that. But yeah, I won 2 national championships at Newman. Made some of my best friends now there, and yeah, it was awesome.
What made you want to go there? Just because it was so local to your house, or your buddies were going, or the
Yeah,
degree?
so
Most importantly, the schooling.
yes, definitely the schooling was the number one thing. But I don't know if you guys know Eddie Jones. He
Major in Shane, hack collecting. What was your major there?
yeah, no, sport management.
Okay.
Sport management. But yeah, so Eddie Jones, he lived in my town that I lived in, and he went there his freshman year. He's a year older than me, and he was telling me, "Yeah, you should just come to Newman." My high school grades weren't the best, but I talked to Coach Lee Strophe, and he set up a few meetings with me, and he got me in there. So yeah, it was kind of like spur of the moment, out of nowhere. Like I said, like a few weeks, and next thing you know, I'm in college.
And we know Lee Strophe well, coached many times at the Gladiator teams and whatnot at Winter Wars East, and had been at State Wars back in the day with Team Pennsylvania with his sons. Great guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then after college, let's talk a minute about playing in France. So you played overseas for Grenoble. Is that how you say the team name?
Yeah, Grenoble.
Grenoble. 2.5 seasons there in the French Elite League. 43 games played, 43 goals, 23 assists, 66 points, a surprising 58 penalty minutes, which I don't know if you're the token tough guy over there or that just speaks for the refereeing, how soft they call some of the games from what you're used to back east.
Yeah, I think they forget that we're not playing soccer, and we're playing hockey at times. But yeah, the French style is just completely different than the American style. Like I said earlier, the rinks are so much smaller. Thing is, over there, not every rink's the same size, so you can play on one that's tiny. And then luckily, our rink was pretty nice. And then that team with the goalie for Team France, city's called Caen, and they have a nice size rink. But I think there's like 3 good sized rinks. Everything else is pretty small, and the game's just so much different. And the refs over there, terrible. They literally call everything. If you come up anywhere with your stick around the midsection, anywhere, people dive all around like they're playing soccer. And yeah, I guess it's just part of their game now, and they still do it at the world tournaments and everything. But yeah,
That's
it
right.
was a good few years.
That's why in our gold medal game last year, when the refs didn't call one penalty the whole game in our final against Czech, which was just unheard of. I was just so happy that they because Czech's physical like we are too, and they just let us play, and it was great. And that's what you always worry about, right? How the refs are going to call the game, because it could be
Yeah,
so
exactly.
temperamental. And we have
Yeah.
some knuckleheads. Um,
Tell us about the city, Grenoble, and like.
City I lived in was cool. It was a smaller city, but I was in the French Alps, so if I wanted to go skiing or anything, it was literally a 45-minute drive just up the mountain. Um, the language barrier is the toughest part, though. So going into France, I didn't know any French at all, and I got to learn a little bit. I still, obviously, I'm not fluent, can't speak it too well, but I can understand a good amount, and I could speak a little bit of it. But Yeah, the city's nice. Nice little it's an actual like city vibe. So most French cities it's like farmy and like a lot of nothing pretty much unless you're in Paris. But yeah, the city was pretty cool.
And how far were you from Paris?
Like 3 hour train, five
Wow.
hour drive, something like that.
Wow.
What's your go-to dish in? I'm sure it's not a cheesesteak. What's your go-to dish in France?
I wasn't a big like going out and eating kind of guy. I'd cook all my own food, but the burgers are good there. I ate a lot of not a lot, but I ate some duck there, which is something that I never eat here, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when we were in Slovakia, Shane's kind of like me. I'm a plain Jane, as you know, too, Greg. Don't try to venture out too much with the taste buds. So I found a spot in Slovakia. It was air conditioned for one, so that was the first check on the list. And I had internet, so I could do work because we were there in Barcelona. Excuse me, this was in Slovakia, doing work for State Wars because prior to State Wars. And then they had a really good chicken cutlet, pretty plain chicken cutlet and French fries. So every day I go to the same spot, plug my laptop in, order a chicken cutlet, French fries, and a Boudoir, which was their Budweiser beer, which was excellent. And I would do that every day for lunch. And I did that for about 12 straight days. And the amazing part about Slovakia was every day I walked in, they looked at me like they'd never seen me before. And it was no friendly smile or like, hey, let me get a chicken cutlet again. It was nothing, just like, can I help you? So that's just Slovakia for you. But Shane, let's ask you some questions away from hockey necessarily, and just to get to know you a little bit. Well, more for our fans to get to know you a little bit. So, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I have to go with Shawshank Redemption.
Okay. Favorite food?
Sushi or Mexican food.
Okay. Favorite kind of music?
I'm a hip hop kind of guy.
Hip hop?
Yep.
Or Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
France or US?
US.
Power play or penalty kill? What would you rather be on?
Power play all day.
Eagles or Flyers?
Eagles. I don't know. That's tough. That's a real tough one. I'll just go with the Eagles though.
Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Pats or Geno's?
Pats. But if we really want to get on that subject, then neither of them.
So who's got the best Philly cheesesteak?
I would go with either Steve's Prince of Steaks or Jim's.
We had Jim's before.
Yeah, Jim's is good. It's on South Street.
Pie-ha or Piha?
I say Pie-ha.
Okay. Call or text?
Text.
We're Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom nowadays.
I know Foxy's been on Zoom like every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been zooming it up.
Do you prefer a fitted hat or one with the clips on the back? One that you could adjust?
Snapbacks.
Snapback?
Yeah.
Steak or chicken?
Chicken.
Best locker room guy you've ever played with?
Rowan Porter.
You had to say that, right?
Gotta go with Rowan.
Be hearing that all day.
Oh yeah.
Explain for someone that doesn't know Rowan Porter what a typical Rowan Porter is like before a big game in a locker room.
It's funny because a lot of people will be like who is that guy? Why is he on your bench? Why he's a jerk off, this and that. But Rowan's awesome. He's a hilarious guy off the rink, on the rink. Having people like him and JP Susko in the locker room and hearing them going back and forth before games just fires you up. But Rowan brings another side to it. He actually gets dead serious and he gives really good speeches before the games and gets you really hyped up. So I think he's a great guy to have on the team.
Now, in the Palma Pro Division, not counting anyone from our team, who's the player you look at as a defenseman? You see a forward out there and you go, oh God, I got to be on my A game to stop this guy. If you get matched up, who's the one guy that you have to make sure you're bringing your A game against, playing against in the game right now?
Obviously everybody says Travis, so I'm not going to go with him, but Travis, he's super hard to play against.
Travis Snow, you're talking about.
Yeah, Travis Snow.
Not Travis Bokina, Travis Snow.
Yeah, Tino. Another guy. I have to go with someone like Spezia. He's super fast. He's hard to defend. Billy Pascali, I would say, one of those guys.
Okay, yeah, all great players, obviously. Would you be nervous to play against our next guest, Chris Trefty? He's got some pretty sweet mitts there. Have you ever watched Trefty play?
Oh yeah, I've watched him. Definitely be a little nervous with him.
Think you could shut
But
him down or what?
I know that he's not passing the puck and he's just looking to score, so I don't think it'd be too difficult.
You'd have Bailey giving you the horns from the sidelines the whole time. No, that's the
Oh
problem.
yeah.
You know. Greg, anything you're saying here?
Yeah, so there's another guy I'm sure you'd be nervous to play against as well. It's this guy.
Oh my God. That's a classic picture.
So that picture there is, pull it up again, Greg. That's Shane's father right there, Brian Fox, 2005. So when Shane, we said, was playing that year, Brian also was there playing for New Jersey in 35 and over division. That's a classic pick. We've used that tons of time. I think that's actually Brian's license picture, if you ask to see his license. But, you know, your dad actually, I was looking it up. He played 2 years at State Wars, 2005 and 2007. And in 2007, he was losing a game 6-0 and took 24 minutes in penalties in that game and got ejected. So luckily, you didn't take his scoring touch. I think he had 1 goal that year, or his craze for penalties. So I think you took after more of your mom on that side. So that's a good thumbs up for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can't imagine what he did that game to get kicked out, but by the looks of that picture, it looks like he was going to slash someone in the head.
Yeah, that's an all-time favorite of ours. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that brutal helmet he's got on too.
Yeah, it was the old tour helmet, I think, right?
Yeah.
You know, Shane's dad, great guy. He came actually out to Barcelona last year. We got to hang out with him for a little bit. And then he actually took a plane from there and went to Egypt to check out the pyramids. He's a big nut about wanting to see the pyramids and whatnot, and realize how crazy they live over there. And I think he got home as quick as he got there, realizing that he wasn't the most welcome person in his hotel or in Egypt as an American, unfortunately there. But real character, great guy. It was great having a fan like him at our games for the playoffs, rooting Team USA on. So Shane, we're going to let you go. We're going to bring in Trefty here. We really appreciate you being on with us today. Appreciate all you do with State Wars, working with us, playing, and all you do in the sport. Definitely jealous of all the things you've accomplished in the sport. You've touched on basically everything, you know, playing as a kid, playing as an adult, college, playing overseas, playing for your country. I don't know what else there is for you to accomplish, but keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
All right, Shane, take care.
All right. Take care.
All right. So we're going to bring on here next Chris Treft. Give me 1 second here. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavalla, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
We're back here, State Wars Hockey Podcast number 10 with our buddy Chris Treft, affectionately known as Trefty, coming in from, are you in Georgia right now, Treft?
Yes. Yeah, still down in Georgia.
How you doing, brother?
Doing very well. Yourself?
Yeah, we're hanging in there, you know, having some fun. And the great part about this podcast is it makes us feel like we're just working like normal. We forget all about what's going on in the world right now. And, you know, we talk about a glass half full production, trying to make everything positive and just hopefully looking towards a better summer.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually going to be nice to receive questions because I've done probably 30 podcasts for the USHL. We started one similar idea, just talking to NHL alums that are now obviously in the NHL that played in the USHL. So I just throw this right in the schedule because I do 2-3 podcasts a day, I feel like sometimes. So
yeah, we think it'd be fun flipping the coin on you here and putting you on the other side. So, you know, talking a little bit about Trefty here, Greg. So obviously here's a guy who, you know, we got to know Chris back in, I think it was 2010 was the first time, you know, playing at State Wars and whatnot. then we realized his talent's pretty quick as a play-by-play guy and broadcaster. And he's done a lot for State Wars, whether it be just doing the broadcast or behind the scenes stuff with some of our highlight videos. He did for a few years with us, some of our graphic stuff for our videos. Just an ultra talented guy on and off the rink. And, we were able to tell really early on how much this guy loves the game. He would put so much time and effort into a broadcast, Greg. We'd watch him up in the office for hours, and he'd be studying the players. This is back before he knew them all as well as he does now, getting to know who was who, getting to learn the stats, learn the pronunciations of names, and just really the history of players. He wasn't just winging it out there, just showed that professional side, which just speaks volumes of his professional life as a broadcaster. So, Trefty, let's talk first about, growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I know there's not a ton to do there, but what got you into hockey first there?
Well, it's actually kind of a funny story. It's just my grandpa just absolutely loved hockey. He was a huge Fort Wayne Comets fan. But growing up, we didn't have much money because, I say I'm from Fort Wayne just because people don't even know where Fort Wayne is. So if I tell them I'm from Roanoke, that'll really throw them a curveball. But I'm actually from a small, very small town, less than 1,000 people. I grew up in the middle of a cornfield. My closest neighbor is about 1.5 miles away. So, I was deep in the middle of BFE. So my grandpa loved hockey. He didn't have much money, so he would save up and try to go to a few games a year. And he was the cheapest man in the world. This guy wouldn't buy anything unless there was a deal involved, or he would find loopholes. And I kind of take after him a lot of things. If you've known me, you know that. But he would go to Comets games, and he started taking me. He took me to my first game when I was 18 months old. And because he thought of a clever idea one day, he just put a bunch of beer and peanuts in my diaper bag. And this is back before they check bags. So he would go to Comets games, and he would take me and convince my mom to let me go. Because one, he didn't have to pay for my ticket because I was a baby. And two, he put all his beer and peanuts so he didn't have to pay inflated Coliseum prices.
So you were like the mule back then for him.
Yeah, 100%. And then we'd go, and I grew up, and I fell in love with the game. By the time the ushers caught on to his trick, I was 4 and I was walking. I remember, well, vaguely, but from what he told me, it's just, they finally said, "Hey, why do you have a diaper bag? The kid's 4 years old." And he's like, I got some beer and peanuts in there. And they're like, "Well, you know what, we'll let you have this time, but we're not going to let you do this again." Right. But at that point, I was absolutely obsessed. You can't find someone. I've heard many people's stories, and I'm not, saying, "Oh, I'm the most passionate," but I just can't find anyone that just fell in love with the game like I did. Every possible situation had to involve hockey. I was a terrible student in school. And the teachers really didn't buy into the whole, if it wasn't about hockey, I couldn't pay attention. So I go home, my mom would be like, "Okay, Joe Sakic had 3 goals and 4 assists. How many points do you have?" I'm like, 7, duh. She's like, "Okay, but you can't do simple addition." So she's like, "I have to relate everything to hockey." And luckily, high school sucked, middle school sucked, but when I got to college, that was better because they let me relate stuff to hockey because that's what I wanted to do. But because we didn't have much money to go to many games. My mom was a single parent. My grandpa worked ungodly amount of hours just to support me and my mom. And we would just sit in the car. We'd turn the car on, turn the key backwards, and we'd listen to Comets games, and we'd listen to Bob Chase. And that's how I bonded with my grandfather. That's what gave me that passion for hockey, because Bob Chase is still the best broadcaster I've ever heard in my life. He would have been Doc Emmerich. He would have been an NHLer, but he was so loyal to Fort Wayne, he never left, even though he had offers from the Red Wings, the Blues, to be a broadcaster in the NHL. He just stayed. So that's who I grew up listening to. And then eventually I started interning with him. I knew I wanted to do that. And then I worked with him. He helped me get a gig in Adirondack for a season. And then I started doing I did some games with the Comets too. Bob helped me get those TV games. And then, the rest is history. I can't fathom not doing something with hockey. I've tried, when I was in college or high school, doing other things. And if it doesn't relate to hockey, I just can't fully do it. And if it does relate to hockey, then I'm going to go so hard that I might kill myself sometimes because I work so hard. I just have to, make everything the best and just bring the passion I have to other people. Like, I love hockey so much that I want other people to, experience the same love and I have. And hopefully I'm a better broadcaster than that mustache shows right there.
Yeah, it's funny because, just so people know, let's talk a minute about the Fort Wayne Comets. I didn't know this until, I'll be honest. I probably heard of Fort Wayne before we had our first State Wars there in 2014, but I definitely had never been there and probably was not on my top 100 list of places I was going to visit in my life. So going there, you don't think hockey, but the Fort Wayne Comets, who play in the East Coast Hockey League, which is, like we've talked about, is basically AA ball, if you would, to the NHL. At one point, it was, I think, the number one attended league a team in the league, just showing how passionate the fans in Fort Wayne are for the Comets.
Yeah, I mean, they've been there since 1952. The Comets and the Fort Wayne Pistons, the NBA team, they're now in Detroit. Obviously, everybody knows that, especially since watching all the MJ stuff, which still makes me mad because, that would have been the Fort Wayne Pistons title, but whatever. But they opened that building in Fort Wayne, and the Comets have been there ever since with the same name. It's the second longest running minor league hockey franchise with the same name in the same city to the Hershey Bears. So they actually beat the Comets by 20 or so years. But I mean, it does help that there's nothing else to do in Fort Wayne. Like, I'm not going to sit here. I love Fort Wayne. I'm not going to sit here and talk about all the great things there is to do. There's not much to do. So hockey is that city, right? The city gets behind the Comets. My grandpa got me into the Comets. Everyone I know, they went to Comets games because that's what their family did, because there was even less things to do back when they were, younger. So the Comets are a huge reason. The Comets are a franchise that has produced a lot of really good hockey people, and given that passion, because the fan base is so passionate. Doc Emmerich, people don't know this, but he grew up in a town almost as small as mine, about 45 minutes away from me. And then he went to a very tiny college in Manchester College, which is such a tiny school. He went there for journalism, but he interned under Bob Chase, just like me. So when you see Doc Emmerich talk about the Comets a lot, he talks about Bob Chase. So he did the same thing as me. He sat up with a recorder in the Coliseum and was calling games and getting better. And then Bob Chase helped him get his first job. I mean, the stories of good hockey people to come out of Fort Wayne because of the Comets and because of Doc Emmerich it's a really long list. I mean, I'll love the Comets and they'll have a place in my heart until the day I die. And I think a lot of people have that, and maybe they don't understand because some people have NHL teams or some people have teams that have changed names over the years. Muskegon, look at them. They've had 18 names of teams. Now they're a junior team in the USHL. The Comets have been pretty much the same logo, same colors the whole time. So, I mean, it's just engraved in the community.
And I don't think you give Fort Wayne enough credit because, for us, like I said, in 2014, I fell in love with the city from State Wars. And then the two times back after that, I felt like every time, Greg, we went back, it got better and better. And of course, things are building up more. I just, there's great places to eat. The sports history is there great. We went to that one basketball museum thing at that one facility that time, which was great to see some old Larry Bird pictures and some great old basketball pictures. And then just talking to customers of ours, they love going there. It's not the busiest area, so you don't deal with hours and hours of traffic. The weather is pretty mild. It's pretty inexpensive compared to some major cities. It's just a great place for us to hold a tournament. It's centrally located. The facility's gorgeous. You can't get a better 3-rink facility to watch a hockey game than the Sports One complex that we have the tournament out there. So I really enjoy Fort Wayne, and Greg, I know you do as well.
Yeah, it was funny when we were looking for facilities. Obviously, it's getting harder and harder to find facilities that could take on such a big tournament like State Wars. We need 3 rinks. We need them all in one building. We need NHL-sized rinks, cement-based rinks, mainly in the center of the country. And Tim's like, I think I found the rink in Fort Wayne. I'm like, Fort Wayne? He's like, hey, in Indiana. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. It's close to Ohio, Michigan. Pretty cool. So Tim and I went for a site visit, and they treated us like royalty when we got there. I mean, they picked us up. They, brought us to dinner, brought us to the facilities nearby, and just treated us like gold. So after that, Tim and I were like, oh my God, like this place is really, really cool, and our customers are going to really like and enjoy the facility. And we haven't turned back since. So it's been awesome.
Well, I think I say that because I spent, I even went to college there. So I spent 24 years there. So I guess everything got a little old. But the thing about Fort Wayne, excuse me, it's so great is I like to call it the smallest big city in the country, because if you want a little bit of everything, you have that. If you want a small town feel where you kind of know everybody, where there's not so much traffic and not a bunch of stuff going on, it has that. If you want, only a couple. You want some skyscrapers, you want some downtown life, you want some sports teams, because it's constantly voted the best minor league sports town in the country. I mean, it has that too. It has a little bit of everything, and it's so perfectly located. Like if you do want to go to a big city, you do want to see an NHL game, you got Columbus, Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis. Like I went to all those places to see NHL games when I could. So I mean, it has a little bit of everything, and it, like I said, if you're a small town person, it works for you. If you're a big town person, it works for you. And that rink that they built, I mean, it's way better than the rink we had growing up. When they built that, it was incredible, and I played my last 2 years of high school, maybe my senior year high school in that rink right after it got built. And like I've done a lot of things in that building, and it's absolutely the perfect setup. Like they didn't miss a beat on anything. It's pretty flawless, especially for a roller tournament.
So now, Treft, you went from, you've done all that broadcasting on the ice side, but obviously our connection is through roller hockey. And, you started broadcasting at State Wars. You do a lot with tours as well. So people see you around the rinks a lot during the summertime and hear that voice at our games. And, we live stream every game, and we do a ton of broadcasting at State Wars on the main rink. I'm sure, we need a throat lozenge sponsor for you by the end of the tournament. But, like I said, you put so much time into it. What made you fall in love right away with the sport of roller hockey?
Well, it actually started with roller and it went to ice. And the only reason I kind of went to ice is because I saw that's where your career is. You know what I mean? Like if there was, hopefully the NRHL gets up going next year, but if there was a professional roller hockey league that matched the NHL, 100%, that would be my first choice. That'd be a way better choice than ice. Like I love roller way more than I do ice, to be honest with you. I can't say that in certain areas because people certainly judge me. But I mean, even when I worked for the Gladiators here in Atlanta, every time someone would come in, they'd be like, I'd go up and introduce them, and they're like, hey, all the boys would come in, like, he doesn't play roller hockey, leave him alone. So I just love the sport. I grew up playing. I didn't start playing organized till I was 11 years old. I would just play in my front yard. And I played so much on my feet that the grass went away, and then it became dirt, and I started skating on that. So I was skating with wheels on dirt. And I had like nets that I made out of like fish net and old pipes. Like I never let my mom or grandpa throw anything away. And then eventually we had an old garage that got tore down. We just burned it down, because if you're in the country, you don't have to, you just set it to fire, and then, no one's gonna call the cops. No one even sees it. But we burned it down, and then they were going to chop up the concrete. And I said, hey, no, let me use this. Let me use this to skate on. And so then I called it the Redneck Arena, which really fit for where I grew up. But it was a 20 by 20 piece of concrete. I ended up putting like washers and dryers behind the net. And then I ended up putting, I even parked my grandpa's van because he ended up losing his legs later in his life. And I put his big Astro van, and that was my goal horn. So I'd score, I'd run over, and I'd hit the goal horn. But I mean, I would broadcast my own games. I created a league. I created the jerseys, the team names, and then I'd broadcast the games and do simulated games. And that was all roller, right? And then I started playing in my first ever roller hockey team I played for. It was in Huntington, Indiana, which is even more of a redneck town than Roanoke, right? And that's where I went to high school. And it was at like a quad skating rink. There was no boards. There's a disco ball. And I was so much better than everybody, even though I never played before. I didn't know how to stop at all, but I was out there scoring a bunch of goals. And that was my first roller hockey experience. And then that league shut down because pucks kept going and breaking all the games and stuff. So I found the Plex in Fort Wayne. I know you guys remember that because you kept trying to have tournaments or kept having tryouts there. I found that, and that's where I played my first roller hockey league. And then, I mean, my fondest memories maybe in life, or playing at the Plex, that was where, I met some of my best friends that I still have today. And it was a rink that they only put it for a little bit during the summer months to get rid of when soccer was going outside. But it was a concrete floor with like a synthetic rubber on it. Like it wasn't a real floor. Like your wheels and sticks just wore down like crazy. But I started playing there, and then some ice hockey kids were like, dude, you're pretty good. Even though I was huge, like I was a very large adolescent, to say the least. But
we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So I started, they said, hey, come try out for ice. I was like, I've never ice skated before. Like I've done public skates. So then we had a pair of ice skates that I got from like a garage sale. So I was okay. I need to train. So I went to public skates, and I couldn't stand up at all. And I thought I was just bad, but it was because my skates needed sharpened. My mom had no idea there was rust on the bottom. And then eventually, like, my mom asked someone there, like, why does he keep falling? He's such a good roller skater. And they're like, the whole bottom is rust. You need to get these sharpened. And then I got sharpened then out there. But I went to I never played house league, never went to any instructional thing. I went straight from roller hockey to a tryout when I was 12 years old, a travel team. And I was T-stopping. I would jump into the boards because I couldn't stop. I had no idea how to stop, but I was scoring. I was ripping pucks from anywhere because I was so much bigger. My shot was good. And then that's when, my first year, I was awful. My first goal in ice hockey, we went to a tournament in Indianapolis, had to get up at 7 a.m., drive down there. So my mom didn't know, because we don't travel parents, that you stay the night before. So we had to get up at 3, travel down there. My first shift, I grab the puck, I start skating. Obviously my head's down because I was a roller hockey player. And then I just take a wrist shot from the red line. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm on the ice. Because this is Czech. I went straight into Pee-wees, Pee-wee travel hockey, my first shift. And people are like cheering, like, yeah, great job. I'm like, what? So apparently I just took a wrist shot from the red line because I had no idea how ice hockey works. Went bar down, and some kid just annihilated me. I went head over heels, knocked me out cold. But I scored from the red line. That was my first ever shift, and I was terrible that year. Eventually I got better and started playing ice just because that's what your career's in. But I mean, roller has always been, I tell everyone, I love roller.
I think part of the problem, Trefty, was when you were playing against your imaginary friends in your barn, no one ever hit you,
No.
So it's,
That's why I'm such a soft player.
It's got to make you mad, though, or frustrated when you hear a kid at State Wars or anywhere complain about the surface, say, oh, it's a little slick or something, when you're used to playing on dirt. Right.
I played on dirt. I played anything you can imagine, just awful it is. Like in the winter, it wasn't enough ice to skate. I would either, hopefully, like the field, the cornfield, because there's no corn in the winter, would flood, and then it would freeze a couple days later. That's the only time I ever skated. But what I would do is I would pat the snow down so hard on that redneck arena, and I would just shift around on my feet. And that was the only time I got to play with a real puck. So, I mean, anytime any of these kids say, the skates that I wore, my first year of travel hockey, I played with a pond hockey pair of skates. It didn't even have a toe cap. It had a toe cap, but it was soft. You could feel my toes. I don't know how I didn't break my feet every single game. So some kids are kind of spoiled nowadays.
It's funny. I'll tell you a fun. Okay, you go. Go ahead.
No. Before we got into his playing career and stuff like that, I just wanted to show a clip of your broadcasting from State Wars. Obviously, you're in all the big games, broadcasting all the big games. But here's a call you made during the semifinals this year of the Palma Pro Division. All right, it's black ice against Palma. All right.
TNT cleanly on a shot that he saw the whole way. So you shoot everything, and I think it was just a rest timeout.
Face off one by Black Ice. Shot! Off to their 4th straight championship. Kippenworth, top shelf. 4-3, Black Ice wins it.
Who took that?
Now, Trefty, I got to ask you, I hate when I hear my own voice on recordings. Do you like hearing your own voice, or do you hate hearing your own voice?
I love it when it's a great call. When I screw up or my voice cracks, I hate hearing it. But I mean, you hear yourself in the headset, so I don't mind hearing my own voice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good call. Obviously, there's so many to choose from. And I heard this one the other day, and I'm like, I got to save this one for Trefty. I really like that one. So wanted to play that one for you.
Yeah, Trefty, I wanted to mention, you made me think. So, my first year playing in a tournament was in 1993, I think it was, our first year at Nationals. And before that, I had grown up playing on a blacktop square rink. So we had played 5-on-5, red line offsides on a square rink that was not very big. And, we were on blades at that point. A lot of guys had just started to get their ice skates changed into an inline skate back then. But I remember the rink director had grabbed one of our guys and said, hey, there's this national tournament. It's going to be held in New Jersey. And there's teams from all over the country go. Would you guys want to go? We'll put together a team from our league to go play. And we were the first Long Island team to ever go play. And we were called the Valley Stream Wolves. And what they did was they took the top 10 players in the league and 2 best goalies, kind of like our State Wars tryouts, but they just handpicked from the adult league to go play in this tournament. And the puck we had used at that point was just electrical tape. So yellow electrical tape we played with. And I remember us going, we had never played 4-on-4 before, never played no offsides before, this was going to be indoor on wood. And I remember we brought with us about 25 electrical tape pucks with us, thinking that we don't know what puck they use, but this is the best puck in the world. We're going to convince the tournament to use this puck. So we get there. And I remember the first game, they throw out all our pucks to warm up. And again, first time ever playing on wood. And I look over and the other team's using a Jofa speed puck and they're warming up with that. And that's what they use in the games. And here we are passing this tape around. Yeah. And it was so embarrassing that we threw them all off the rink. I got the referee to give me one puck and we passed one puck around for warm-ups instead of using these other pucks because it was so embarrassing. But that's all we knew. And it helped that we wound up shit kicking everybody, which goes to show you, to your point, that it doesn't necessarily matter what you grew up playing with. But it was eye-opening to see what else was out there. So I'm sure for you, coming from playing out of a barn in Redneck Arena on dirt to going out to the big world now and seeing what's going on out there, it had to be like, wow, head spinning.
And I would have played State Wars tours, anything a lot sooner. But I signed up for State Wars for like 9 straight years, and I was the only kid from Indiana to ever sign up. Like, I know there was a couple of teams that Jeff Lozier put together that were younger, but my age group, I signed up, and I just, like, my mom was even trying to like find a way to get me, because she thought, my mom is very like, okay, this is by the book. So she thought that if I like put a Ohio address, that I would get caught cheating. But she was trying to find a way to like put our address in Ohio and us to go to Cincy to try out, because I wanted to play so bad, because I loved roller hockey more than anybody in the whole world, from playing with balls. And if my balls broke or whatever, I would have to take like beer cans that my brother or my grandpa had and smash them down. And that's what I would play with. Like, nothing was going to stop me. I'll play with rocks. But I wanted to play in real tournaments. I just never had the opportunity to, at least State Wars wise.
Well, you were the type of kid that we always had felt bad for, with our state rules. There would always be kids like you that from a state that just love the sport, and then from another state. And, we've had years now where our younger division, we've had those mixed teams like you coached with Shane last year. We showed that picture before. And we do that with the younger kids, but it's so hard because, you know how it goes. We allow that, and then it turns into the New Jersey kid wants to play with the New York team, or the California kid, playing with the Arizona guys. And so we have to be strict with those rules. But that's what we hate when there's that Chris Treft from a state that loves it more than anything, is good enough to play, but he doesn't have anyone else playing. That kid usually just stops playing the game, and that stinks for us, and it stinks for those kids, because they lose that opportunity to play in the best tournament out there. And that's the last thing we want to see. But yeah, so from a broadcast side of things, obviously at State Wars, he's known as our play-by-play guy. Him and George Brown are a great tandem together. They do an amazing job. Greg has shown some pictures there. You've gotten to see Pat Maroon at the games. Got to meet a lot of great people, whatnot. Now that State Wars got international, we had 11 different countries at State Wars last year. It's got to be a game changer for someone like you that just takes pride in being able to pronounce names and do things the right way. Out of all the countries we've had, what's the most difficult country for names for you?
Well, the funnest was France, because I took French, and that was the most fun. So I actually had a good time with that, guessing and then being right most of the time. But I think I like the Swedes, because the Swedes is fun. I don't think that's tough. I think the Korean names were pretty tough, like the South Korea teams, just because I don't know how to pronounce certain things, and I'm trying to not sound like I'm exaggerating and making fun of them when I try my best to sound exactly the way they want to hear it. Like when the French score, I would put some French behind it, or that, or this and that. But I think the Namibia team, that like the actual African names, not the German ones, those were really tough, because you have nowhere to even go off of. At least Asian names, you can kind of, you pronounce them how they're spelled. But when the African names, like there's all kinds of letters, I don't even know what they're good for. And then the Swedes had a couple Finns, and the Finns names are way harder, because I think they only pronounce 4 letters, and they put all 21 or whatever in every name. So those are kind of tough. But Yeah.
Yeah, even on Tuesday, we had Whitey on, and he was talking about his team in the KHL, and he's played there for a year, and he couldn't even pronounce necessarily the name of his city and team that he played for. So I had joked that it's about 3,000 points in Scrabble, his city name that he lived at. It was about 12 consonants next to each other. So never easy, and it's hard when you can't even talk to the coach necessarily to get the right pronunciations because they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So always a challenge, and we definitely don't begrudge you for having to make those tough calls, pronouncing these names spur of the moment during the course of a game.
Or it's better when you go down and you ask, because sometimes I don't have the time. So parents, if you ever hear me say your kid's name wrong, it's just because I didn't have time to go down and ask, or Greg and Tim were running around, so I couldn't ask them, hey, how do you say this kid's name? I'm seriously trying my best. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But what's worse is when you go down and you find a coach like, hey, how do you say this kid's name? Especially the foreigners, like, we just call him Jimmy. I'm like, I can't just call him Jimmy. That's not how it works. Like, no, I just call it. His parents will think it's funny. So sometimes I'll do that, but I guess there's a girl in Florida, who she wants to simply just be called Katie. She even puts that on her jersey. So, okay, I'll go with it. But sometimes it's really hard because I want to be professional, as tough as it is to be in this atmosphere where I'm calling 10 games a day and I have 3 minutes to prepare. So sometimes it's a little hard, but it's makes it worse when you go down and oh yeah, this is his nickname. Just call him that. And everything I was taught. But.
On the youth side of things, what states would you say really stand out to you as the ones that play the game the best way, that you enjoy watching, skill-wise and whatnot? What states are you most impressed with on the youth side?
Well, obviously it's California. It's not even close. I think that they play roller hockey the best, right? Michigan usually has, they have the most gold medals. They usually have some of the best teams. Those are ice hockey kids that play roller in the summer. But California brings kids that play roller year round. And does it get a little boring sometimes, especially for me when they're standing behind the net? Sometimes, but they're playing it right. Especially that team with Guzman and Mahoney and all those guys from NorCal. They're so fun to watch because it's if they get the puck, they're either getting a shot or scoring. There's no other way. It's really fun to watch. So I think they're really good, and it depends on the age group. But then you have the hotbeds, right? Missouri always has a ton of teams. They're always really good and really fun to watch, and especially there's 2 Duns on every team, so that those names are easy to say. So I like that. But then New York, depending on the age group, there's some unbelievable teams from New York and New Jersey and even Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has some really good younger teams coming up. But Michigan and California, you can't really argue against those 2 states as being your quote unquote your 2 best states.
What about internationally? What countries were you pretty impressed with?
Well, Namibia, obviously, as much as our buddy Milo would be upset that they got put in the wrong division. But Namibia, not only was I impressed with how good they were, but how good their girls were. Their girls were their best players, and they were tall as me. Not that I'm tall, but right. It was amazing to watch. My 07 team, my Georgia team, played against them. And when I saw the schedule, I'm like, hey, there's our one game. We're going to 8-goal them. And we pretty much played a box. I pulled out every trick I could. And after
8-2 to them, I think.
Yeah. So when we went into the locker room after the game, we lost 7-0 or 7-1. And I was ecstatic. I'm like, great job, guys, because they were so much bigger than us. And I'm trying to teach kids how to play physical, but not be, a bunch of tools out there and hurt kids. You can play physical without actually hurting someone. And I had kids on my team come back and they're like, Coach, we're trying. Those girls are so big and strong. They were incredible. You have the occasional Columbia team, especially at tours, when those kids, you're like, holy cow, there's some unbelievable Columbia.
Last year, the team from Spain, the 03s and 04s.
Yeah.
That team was, I thought, real impressive. The Catalunya team.
Yeah, they were really good. The French junior team, once they got used to the floor, they were okay. It's guys that played pro, or when they eventually got to the end, when they learned how to learn the floor, they were really good. All the international teams you're really impressed with, UK, even though some of their teams tend to be on the lower end, they always have 1 or 2 good teams that come over, and
they're all getting better and better.
Yeah,
The one thing we have to keep in mind with international is, most of them don't play on sport court. A lot of them, a lot of them don't play on big rinks. They play on smaller rinks, as we talked about with Foxy, smaller nets. Some play outdoor rinks or whatnot. Some aren't used to the rocket puck. And some just aren't used to the whole game, how we play it here. So, and then they travel so far, just that whole part of it, and just get thrown right into it. We always get teams saying, hey, can we get on the rink beforehand, and we try to get the international teams to practice if we could on the rink, which is tough when the tournament already starts. We had Korean teams come into the rink at 4:30 in the morning to get a practice in just before the tournament starts, because our games start at 6 a.m. most days, but just to get on the rink because they haven't skated on it. And it's so eye-opening for the kids, and they just love it, obviously, and they want to come back. But, you know, besides the broadcasting part, you know, one thing that many don't know that much about with Chris Treft, and he's not shy to let you know, he's a pretty damn good hockey player, Greg. And, you know, it's been frustrating for him a lot, I think, because he's had to play a lot of times in the senior A division, which at our tournament is pretty strong and tough. I mean, it's a 40-team division, so to win that still is very difficult. But, you know, he definitely would rather play at a higher level, but the talent pool of his team usually isn't at that level. And when they have done that, it is difficult. So he's played a lot in the senior A, which again is no slight at our tournament, but they've been real successful. Started in 2012 was your first year, Trefty, playing for Indiana at State Wars. We got some good shots here. And just to give some stats for Chris Treft as we go through this montage of pictures over the years.
A few pounds ago.
Yeah. He was a 2013 high scorer of the division. In 2014, they won the gold medal of Senior A, and he was the high scorer and the most valuable player of the championship game. And in 2016, they won the bronze and was high scorer again. So winning high score 3 of those years, pretty impressive. So I'm sure even at your age now, you still must just love playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you kind of look forward to. As much as you love broadcasting, as much as you love all the other stuff, I still absolutely love playing. And I do get chirped a lot, like, hey, why are you playing single A? Then I have to give that same spiel again, like, I'm from Indiana, and okay, I do have some good players on my team, but they never play roller. So if we play double A, we'll get killed. And then I move to Georgia, and then I bring Georgia teams, but I can't get the good players to come because they don't want to pay and travel and all that. So, I mean, I still had a pretty good double A team, but we won one game, and we 8 gold a team that everybody 8 gold. And then we tied one game because our goalie had like 50 saves. But other than that, we just get killed. So like, it's hard to get guys from your state to come travel to State Wars, play. And if they come and spend all that money and they get pummeled, they don't want to play. So then I constantly have to play in the single A division. But I'm not going to not play. Like even here in Georgia, like I play in leagues with some guys that wouldn't even, they'd be the worst player in senior B here in the local rinks in Atlanta. And people are like, why you still play even though you can't go 100% and you can't, play the way you want to play. I just love playing. Like during this quarantine, I've started going to an outdoor rink here in Georgia, but they put padlocks on the thing when they completely shut down the thing. I wasn't going to be dumb and go when there was a bunch of people, but I'd skate by myself. But when they shut that down, then I started skating in a parking garage in a mall right by our place. And then a cop came and told me, hey, you can't skate here. And I'm like, So then now I have to stick handle in our 200 square foot apartment. And my girlfriend, Bailey, just constantly has to yell at me and say, please stop stick handling. It's so loud and you're messing up the floor. So, I mean, I just love playing. Like there's nothing that's going to stop me from playing. If I'm playing in single A and I have to, just play with my buddies that may not be roller hockey guys because I'm from Indiana and I live in Georgia now, like that's what I'll do. I just absolutely love playing hockey. Like there's nothing better in this world than just going and playing. It doesn't matter what situation. If I'm the worst player, I'm the best player. No one loves hockey more than me. It's hard to find.
Well, just get some dirt and just skate in the backyard like the old days. I think Trefty, what doesn't help is when you call the team the Indiana Sandbaggers and you're playing in single A, right off the bat, you're putting yourself out there to get chirped by somebody.
Well, I did that last year just because everyone chirps me anyway. So I'm like, fine, I'll just embrace it. So it doesn't look like I'm hiding it. Like I've never made an excuse that had validity behind it. I've never been like, I've never actually sandbagged because like, look, they're when I have the ability to play with pro guys, I'll play with them, back-to-back Southeast Wars champions. Not a big deal, but like I'm always gonna, then there's the girl that makes me look better every picture. But she smiles at me over there.
That smile. Foxy loves that Trefty smile, Greg, doesn't he? Foxy always told me he's got the perfect smile, but he's always got that
He's always smiling.
Looks like he's just taking just farted or something during the picture. He's always got that same little smile.
Well, my teeth are fake. I'm self-conscious, so I can't give the full smile. My face is a puck magnet, so that's why That's why I wear a cage now. So
Yeah, I noticed that in the pictures. You were wearing no cage at the beginning, so we didn't know. Was that like a Bailey rule? You got to wear a cage now. We noticed you started wearing a cage from the old pictures.
well, she loves it. But actually what happened was I moved down to Atlanta. That was the last time I didn't wear a cage. I moved down to Atlanta and I started playing in just a rec league with guys that, either take it way too seriously and think it's game 7 or can't skate very well. And it's like a 4-on-2. My team's on the penalty kill. I'm standing in front of the net. And, I get a job in the ECHL. Like, I'm ecstatic. Like, I'm the main broadcaster in professional hockey for a team in a big market. Like, I'm so pumped. Training camps in 2 weeks. So I'm about to be on camera. My first time in front of the Glads fans. And I'm standing in front of the net and the puck goes D to D and it's rolling. And the guy that has it just, those guys in men's league just love to take slap shots, like no matter what. I saw it rolling and I'm literally thinking in my head, I'm like, don't take a slap shot. Don't take a slap shot. And he just rolling puck slams a slap shot right into my face, breaks my nose. I'm gushing all over my jersey. I'm so mad. I get the blood to stop and I come back out. And it was the first time in that league I tried. My team is down like 4 or 5. I put stuff on my nose. I was so mad. I just went and got like 6 goals. Just to I was so mad. And I wasn't mad that the guy broke my nose. I was mad that I had on camera stuff for the Glads in 2 weeks. Luckily, it healed enough where it was bruised, but you couldn't really tell because the camera was so far away. But that was like my first experience where maybe I should just swallow my pride. Because when I was 16, I didn't wear a cage. I was that guy like, oh, you're such a wussy if you don't wear a cage, blah, blah, blah. Look at this guy. He's a tough guy wearing a cage. But then I still wasn't wearing a cage. And then we had an affiliation with Nashville. So I went up and I shadowed Pete Weber, the Predators broadcaster. And I was talking to him. We were talking about men's league. And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Like men's league, I get hit in the face all the time, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you don't wear a cage? And I was like, no. And he's like, if you take one thing away from me of learning anything here at an NHL broadcast is wear a cage, because you could have one idiot slash you in the face. Some idiot could take a slap shot with a rolling puck in, the worst league as you can imagine. And you could literally not be able to do your job. You could have your jaw wired shut and you could ruin your broadcasting career. Like, do you want people saying, oh, you're a pansy for not wearing or for wearing a cage? Or do you want to have a long career and not mess up your face for radio that you already have anyway? So that's when I put on a cage and I was just like, it's not worth it. Like, this isn't game 7. Even if you play in the pro division, like, I'm not going to lose more teeth or ruin my face, which was already pretty average in the first place in my broadcasting career, just because I don't want to be known as a wussy. I honestly don't care anymore. So I started wearing a cage.
Yeah, I think you got to, realize that, I think as long as you're not the guy out there with the cage on who's sticks up on everyone else and playing real dirty, no one cares that you don't have a cage on anymore. You're wearing a cage nowadays, I know, same story as me. I put mine on. We were at a Norwich Winter Nationals in Vegas many moons ago. And same thing, I got high sticked over the eye, split my eyelid open, and I spent the whole night. It was my birthday. I'll never forget, in the hospital getting glued up and whatnot. And after that, I came home and I was just like, it's not worth it anymore. I'm not tall. I get high sticked every game. And eventually it's going to my eye. So, Greg still wears it, but I'm sure with Greg, if he wasn't playing pro, he probably would wear the cage if it was just 35 and over and whatnot, right, Greg, at this point?
Yeah. Locally, on the ice and my roller leagues, I always wear a cage now. I know the one league out at Sport Time, it's mandatory. Everyone has to wear a cage. But yeah, ice hockey, I don't skate that well, so I just started wearing a cage, and I just transferred it over to roller. And for the pro tournaments, I obviously take it off. And over the summer when I was playing 35 and over, I forgot to bring a cage, and I probably would have wore one during that. But yeah, I'm usually wearing a cage now. I broke my nose, got no teeth. So once pro's over, my pro career is over, I'll get my teeth fixed.
Great. Do we got a video of Treft here playing?
Yeah, we actually do.
Oh boy.
We got one here. This is last year playoff game against Illinois. You had a Hattie in this game. No biggie. But here's a nice little snapshot from Chris Treft.
Obviously wasn't an assist, probably.
And there's no broadcasting because our broadcaster was on the rink. So
Yeah.
that patented quick release, Chris Treft. Stat wise overall, you've played 45 games at State Wars, have scored 87 goals, 41 assists, 128 points, 2.84 goals points per game average. Not too shabby for a guy that's known for his voice, not his hands and shot, but obviously is a dual lethal weapon at the rink.
A lot of goals, not many assists.
What's that?
A lot of goals, not many assists, unless it's the pass off pad accidentally.
You had 41 assists in 45 games, so still pretty, almost like assists.
All rebounds.
Probably rebounds, but you still got them. And then it got full circle for you, Chris. In 2018, you took on the Georgia team, the 2006 team, and coached that team for 2 years. In 2018, you guys had a pretty good run. You guys went 4-0 that year. I remember there was a lot of discussion where that team belonged. We had you in the upper division, the triple-double, and you had questioned it early on, or maybe some parents did with your team. But you guys went on to go 4-0, played incredible. Of course, we'll give the credit to the coaching there. You had a really tough 4-3 win in that round robin over Northern California, which was a great game. And then, with that team, unfortunately, 4 teams make it to the AAA, and you already had Michigan, Pennsylvania, Missouri were all world beaters. And I'm sure you had parents of your team like, oh, we don't want to make AAA because we know we're going to lose. And you did get beat up on pretty good in the playoffs. But to me, I think the takeaway should be, hey, boys, and girls, we qualified as a top 4 team in the entire country in the 2006 division. That's what matters here most. We made it to AAA. But do you remember that year at all, that first year coaching?
Yeah, it was great because I always wanted to, but all the Georgia teams kind of had coaches already or dads that wanted to do it. And then I finally jumped in. I didn't know any of these kids. And then at tryouts, I was like, I don't know if we're going to be that good. And then we started practicing, and, I just try to make sure that they're skating hard, right? Because that's always been my thing. I was never the skilled guy growing up. Like eventually it came because of all the outdoor playing, but like you just got to work hard and you got to have fun. If you're not having fun, it's pointless, right? And so like what I tried to show these kids, like I showed them a few things, but I always try to stay positive, right? Because negativity is so dumb. So like if you're a parent out there and you yell at your kid after a game, if they play bad, if you are that coach that's constantly yelling at the refs or yelling at your kids, like it literally does nothing. And this isn't like a liberal agenda, right? It's not because that's how it works. It's just like they're kids, and positivity works on everybody. So I just try to be immensely positive. And that whole time, I didn't know how good we were going to do against anybody. So for the first game, I set little goals each game for us to try to do. And I made sure that we always stay positive. Like I have a rule, like if you slam your stick, you're done. You're not playing the rest of that game. Because I always learned that rule because my grandpa, I broke a stick one time over the crossbar. And he said, if you ever do that again, you're never playing hockey. You're going to have to go get a job at 14 and buy your own stick. So just trying to keep
on the right way, because your grandpa was saving up money for weeks just to buy that stick for you. And then you got to break it. It's like,
exactly. And so like those are the lessons these kids learn. Like winning and losing is kind of cool, but at State Wars, like winning is cool. But like these kids are going to have memories. Like I never played. I'm not a great passer. I'm getting better, but I've never been a great passer because I was always the best kid on a bad team because I could never afford the good AAA teams, right? But I learned so many lessons from those teams. So I just want to take all the stuff that I learned that made me a good person, and that's what I want to do to these kids. And when we started winning games and kids were having a heck of a time and they were having fun, I got I went out and bought like a construction hat, and I gave it to the player of the game for working hard. And things like that just make it fun. And if a kid comes back to the bench and they're upset, I'd go up and I just try to tell them a joke. And so they get a little laugh before we calm down and we talk about things. But then, when we made AAA, they were like, man, we're going to get smoked. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. Like, we need to go out there. Like, would you rather win AA easily? Or would you rather go to AAA? And like getting to AAA was an accomplishment. That was almost as good as winning. Look at the teams you get to play. Like, how do we get better by playing those AA teams and just winning? Okay, cool. You get a medal. Like, you're going to lose that. You're not going to have that medal your whole life. You're going to lose it eventually. No offense, guys. But then,
well, unfortunately, most people, when you ask that question, would rather win AA.
Yeah, that's I know.
Reality,
But that's just not the way that I operate. I think you learn way more from losing. Nobody ever gained anything from winning unless it was in the NHL. Like, you learn way more from losing. So then we went in that first game, And, we played really hard and we tried our best. We had a goalie that's never played roller before. He was from Missouri because we needed a goalie to play. They worked their tail off, but we just couldn't shut them down individually. So then we went into the bronze medal game and I said, guys, we're going to win the first 5 minutes. And we sat down, I showed them, they all bought in. We came up with a game plan. It's hard to teach 12-year-olds like a system, but we played a 1-1-2 because we knew Pennsylvania was really, really good. And we scored the first 2 goals. I said, we win the first 5 minutes and we're going to go by 5-minute increments. And we were up 2-0. And I'm getting chills right now just thinking about that. That was like the coolest moment. Like we had those little Pennsylvania kids cussing at each other and their coach was going crazy out of his mind. And we were having a good time. And then, eventually their skill just caught up and, like we had no chance in that game, but we won. We won the first 5 minutes. We won 2-0. And it meant the world to me. And those kids, like, now they're all saying like, oh my gosh, are you going to coach us? Are you going to coach us? You're going to coach us. I don't think we've never won anything. My team, we won the bronze last year, but they have a good time. They come to State Wars and every single player leaves and they're with smiles on their faces. And that's what matters most. And hopefully they learn some life lessons because that's kind of my goal when I.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because like we had an issue at Winter Wars West this year where we had a team that supposedly the coach had his team scoring on his own goal or moving out of the way, letting the other team score just so they would qualify for the lower division in the split instead of going to the higher division, which to me, when I hear that, I look at it like that coach never coach a hockey game ever again, period. And if my kid was on that team, he would never play for that coach again. But you bring up a great point about just the confidence. What parents don't realize is whether it's you, Chris Treft, or even Greg Thompson. Now, Greg Thompson, in my opinion, is one of the best players ever to play roller hockey. And if I'm coaching Greg and I yelled at Greg all game and just got on him constantly, he would not play well. He would get down on himself a little bit, and it's just natural. And it could be Matt White from the other day or Travis Snow. Everyone has feelings, and very few play better because of that. And if you're getting yelled at every time you make a mistake and you're a little kid and your coach or your dad or your mom is screaming at you, and you're playing nervous now, you're not going to play up to your best ability. And that's a hard lesson for parents to understand and learn.
Yeah.
Usually it's a parent that hasn't played sports competitively that doesn't get that. But once they're playing nervous, they're done. That's why I love seeing a coach like you that's teaching them the right way to play. And then that team, you coached them last year, and here's a perfect example. You struggled a little bit more in the round robin. Your team was a little bit different. You went 1-3. You qualified for the lower division. And you had a tough loss to Colorado 3-2 in the semifinal, but then you beat Virginia 4-2 and took home the bronze medal. I know Greg showed a picture of that. So the next year, those kids came home with a medal. And you know what? You could say, is it better to win the medal in the lower or you got beat up in the higher? Me personally, I'd rather say I made the top 4 in the whole division. But obviously you left on a high last year and you got to take home a bronze medal, which is pretty sweet for those kids.
We had a lot different team too. Like my team was, now that I look at it, post tryouts and what we did, like I had a stacked team. We just had a goalie who worked his tail off and he did his best for us, but he wasn't, like, he never played roller before and he was a year younger. But he bought in and he had a lot of fun, which was the most exciting part. But this year we had a good team. It just wasn't as deep. We didn't have as many good players, or quote unquote superstar players. Right. But we still had a pretty good team. And it was a tougher division. And, we lost to Colorado. They scored a goal with a minute left. Like we were almost in overtime, and it was a great game. But like they lost that game, and I went in, and like it's all noise, right? So I'm not saying never yell at a kid, right? You can't not hold someone accountable. So people look at, you have to yell at the kids. Like, what is this? Like, you're so soft. Like, back in the day, I got yelled at and I turned out fine. Okay, maybe you did, but what if someone gave you positive reinforcement? You might have been even better. Right. Like, you get bullets, right? You get a certain amount of bullets. So like one of our coaches in Atlanta, he's telling this to professional hockey players.
Yeah.
You get 3 bullets in an entire 82 game season for professional hockey. That's when the coach gets 3 times he can rip into someone. But after that, people stop listening. And for a kid with a fragile mind, you have to know the kid. There's some kids that you can say, hey, figure it out. And they'll know. But there's some kids that can't do that. You have to know your team and positive reinforcement. We lost that game. I walked in and I told a joke. and they're all looking at me and they're like giggling. Some of them had tears rolling down, but now they're wiping it away and they're like, what's going on? And one of my coaches in high school, every loss we had, he told a joke just because it kind of loosened things up. Because you stop thinking about that game. Because what's the point of thinking about that loss? If we had a bronze medal game coming up, like I'm trying to win. Right. So no one is more passionate about winning than me. I'm very competitive, but you still can't, make the kids not have a good experience.
Herb Brooks said a long time ago, and I always remember this, said that as a coach, if you yourself didn't teach a player how to do it right, you can't yell at them for doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great comment, because a lot of coaches scream and yell at kids, assuming they're just supposed to know everything. And if you yourself hadn't gone over that, now, if I'm practicing twice a week with a team and we go over something all the time, and that kid does the opposite of what we've been going over, then I understand getting mad and frustrated and yelling and benching or whatever. But if you're just yelling at a kid about stuff that you just assume they know that you've never even told them, then that's just not being a good coach,
And it's too, it goes both ways, right? So you have to be respectful. I told every team I've coached at State Wars or anywhere, I say at the end of the tournament, we're going to be the most respectful team in the tournament. Every parent is going to look at you and go, Team Georgia, man, those kids were good kids. Because that's what matters most. It's not, oh, they were the best team. So like we play games against teams that I told them the same thing. I'm like, you're going to play the same way, whether we're down 6-0 or we're up 6-0. If you're up 6-0, you score and you celebrate, you're not playing the rest of that game. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like you don't need to rub it in, because how would you feel if someone did it to you? Okay. But keep playing. Don't stop playing, but don't go between your legs on a breakaway when you're up 7-0. Play the game the exact same way. And same thing when you're losing. So I mean, we played against coaches where I still can't even fathom, like they were cussing at their kids and they were telling them to score when it was 7-0. They're like, try the Michigan behind the net. This team sucks. It's like I'm not going to do that whether I'm winning. I'm not going to do that whether I'm losing. And that's the biggest lesson these kids need to learn is you got to play the same way. You got to play hard. You got to have fun, whether you're losing 6-0 or up 6-0.
I think youth sports coaching as a whole in this country, whether it's at State Wars, at soccer, at lacrosse, I see it all the time with my kids. Overall, it's very poor, unfortunately. And that's just a sad aspect of youth sports. And one day, if you have kids or Greg has kids, you'll see the flip side of that as being a parent watching it. And trust me, as a coach who I think does a good job and does it the right way, it's very frustrating to watch. But it's just a sad part of life. But Treft, we're going to get some questions with you here before we let you go. Just to get to know you a little bit better away from the hockey. So just for our listeners here, so just throw out an answer what comes to mind here. Yeah. So Indiana or Georgia?
Georgia. Weather. It's weather. It's all a tie. It comes down to weather. Georgia wins.
Okay. Playing or broadcasting?
It depends on the situation, the league, blah, blah, blah. But I think.
What's your bigger passion? If you could play in the NHL or broadcast the NHL, which would you rather be doing?
Play. But it's tough.
Protein or carbs?
Protein.
Trefty bars.
Trefty bars.
Yeah.
Favorite food with that?
My favorite food in the world is buffalo chicken dip. I can eat that with a spoon. I'll put that on anything.
Chick-fil-A or Chipotle?
Chipotle. Chipotle over anything. Anything you would have said, Chipotle is better.
If you were on an airplane, would you recline the seat?
No. I'm classy.
Cold water or room temperature?
Room temperature. I got fake teeth. It hurts when it's all cold.
Youngblood or Miracle?
Youngblood.
Cornfields? Like that?
Well, I don't know. I've always loved Youngblood. Like the star power in that movie. Rob Lowe, Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze in a hockey movie. And it's about juniors. Like Miracle is a true story. You already kind of knows what happened. It's cheesy. Like it's Disney. I totally get it. But Youngblood's like, it's got everything.
Yeah.
I know back in your heyday, you used to do push-ups on the dance floor. Was that like the go-to?
That's it's flashbacks. The best bar. It's no longer around, or they reincarnated it as like a live band thing. But there's no better bar in the world than flashbacks. And sometimes when you're in a dance battle and you know you're not very good at dancing in the middle of the dance floor, you gotta take the shirt off and resort to push-ups and hope for the best. Worst case, you get hey, you look the best doing it.
Favorite music?
Well, either like like EDM or electronic, but I also like indie pop, like Fickle Friends, the 1975, like stuff that no one's really heard of, but like, but yeah, I know I get chirped a lot with that, but that's fine. I like indie pop.
So when you watch the Palma Pro Division, besides the favorites, who's a team you look at like coming into this year? Taylor Sportsplex is Summer Palma Pro. Who do you expect big things from a team that maybe a lot of people wouldn't pick to be the team to watch out for this year? Who's that team for you?
I think the Roadrunners are kind of the new Black Ice. Like they have a bunch of young kids, and eventually when those kids, you know, not, I hate to use the word figure it out, but when they lose a little bit and they, you know, get a little bigger, they get a little mature, they're going to be just like Black Ice, where Black Ice was always like, man, they're going to be pretty good in a couple of years. And all of a sudden, boom, they won Narch that year. And now they win tours every year. And they've been in every single Palma Pro championship. So it's, I think the Roadrunners are kind of that next wave, especially if they can keep all their guys together and keep that core like Black Ice did.
How do you think like an Eton going to Palma is a game changer for that team?
I mean, I think it helps. I mean, Palma's always in it, but I mean, with everything, it's like, I think a big reason why you and Black Ice are always so successful is because you have the same team every year, right? And Palma's getting there, but they feel like they have a different goalie every year. You know, Junior played for Rinkrat and then he came back. You know, that I'm not saying that's the reason they haven't won the Palma Pro, but I think there's something to be said for loyalty and camaraderie where, you know, Eton going there is huge, especially since, I mean, him and his brother took a team that no one gave a chance and they won the division a couple of years ago. But I mean, I think that the team that has the most good players, yeah, but the team that has the most players that have played together the longest is the most successful.
Best skater in the Palma Pro Division?
You talking overall or skater? Like
Best
actual
skater.
skating?
Best skater.
Spezia. It's insane watching him on rollerblades.
Best hands?
Best hands? I mean, there's so many good guys. I mean, you can say Travis Snow, but he kind of has the full package. You
Think
know,
of best hands, filthy hands. Who comes to mind? Just
Filthy
throw one
hands.
out.
Chavo.
Best vision?
Best vision would probably have to be. This is gonna sound crazy and maybe a little biased, but I think CJ Yoder, because he's so much older than every single player in the division, and he still finds a way to put up points and he still finds a way to do things because his vision and his hockey sense is just so incredible. That's the reason he can still play in the pro division with being an older gentleman.
Best pure goal scorer?
Either Hawkins or White, like Matt White. It's almost like a tie, but I think that one of those two.
If you were asked to coach a game for one game, $1 million prize goes to you if you win, and you could pick one goalie, 2D, 2 forwards from the Palma Pro Division to be your team to be out there to win the game for $1 million. Who's that goalie, 2D, 2 forwards?
Goalie, I'm gonna take. I'll take Redmond because he continuously he usually has a really good team, but I think Redmond for sure. I think on D Martino, you know, he's the best, PJ. You think he's the best player? Maybe not, blah, 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 but that guy always wins. That guy, I don't know if I've ever seen him lose a game. And if the other D, I'll probably take Fox. Same thing. Every team he goes to, they win. Doesn't matter the division, doesn't matter the site. And then up front, I'm going to take Travis Snow and either I'll take Travis Snow and Matt White.
Okay. And if you had to pick one player, penalty shot in overtime to win that $1 million, doesn't have to be one of those players, anyone in the sport. Who do you want on that puck on the stick up?
Penalty shot, I'm going to go Brandon Hawkins.
Brandon Hawkins. All right. Any questions?
One with the goalie is unfair.
Yeah, so Trefty, a couple things here. Now, have you ever met Doc Emmerich before?
I've never actually met him, but we have communicated just every time situation arises. It's like, you know, like one time I was on the road playing in college and he was in Fort Wayne and I missed it. So he made me like a YouTube video and I missed him. And that was
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
When was the last time you've spoken to him? You chatted with him before, like through email or like recently or?
I sent him an email way back when he visited, and then he sent the YouTube video. So
Okay.
like my senior year of college, maybe.
All right. So it was a little while ago. Now, let everyone know like what you're doing now. Like I know you're working for Tour a little bit. You're working for the USHL. Just kind of touch on that and let everyone know what you're doing.
Well, so I left the Gladiators in Atlanta. It kind of fell through, new ownership, new GMs and stuff like that. So I felt it was time for my career to move on and explore other options. And I was even actually thinking about taking a year off and kind of just hanging out with Bailey, because I never get to spend time with her. And all of a sudden quarantine hits and now we spend 24/7 together. But so I started working for the USHL in the league office. So luckily I don't have a team to be stressed about when they lose. It's the whole league in general. But I get to just be a part of the media team. It's just, it's just like the teams in the league. It's a small front office in the league office. But so I watch every single USHL game. I clip goals on game nights, all the major league events. Like we went to the Frosty Cup and the Winter Classic. So Chicago and Green Bay played on the Winter Classic rink, but we got to cover the Winter Classic because there was alums playing. So I got to interview Joe Pavelski. I got to go to practice, which is actually really funny because Brent didn't show up and I had to do it all by myself. And I was running around, but I knew some of the people, the media people. They don't remember who I was, but so I found my way around, and I was in a media scrum with all the big NHL, ESPN. I shouldn't say ESPN, it's hockey, but TSN guys. And then there's me with my little camera. I'm like, hey, Joe, can you do a little interview for us for USHL? So that was really cool. And then the All-American game, you saw that picture with Scott Gomez and Mike Knuble were the coaches. So I got to interview those guys. And unfortunately, the draft isn't going to happen live, but I was going to be live at the NHL draft and interview all the USHL players that get drafted. So just doing media stuff, doing on camera, no play-by-play, but obviously, working for the league, can't really have that. But then for Tour, it's just, I know obviously Ron Bielstein from Tours and obviously roller hockey in general. And then Chad said he wanted to focus a lot on social media and marketing, and his hands are, I've never seen someone work that hard and have so many hats. Like I thought I had a lot of hats when I worked in Atlanta, but Chad asked me to help out with Tour. So I started running the marketing stuff, running the social media, and, trying to show off the new skates. Cause these are amazing, by the way. I can't believe those are $300. Like it's remarkable, but.
Is that what you're wearing around the kitchen right now, those?
Yeah. Right. Oh no, Bailey's looking at me going, no. But yeah, so I just trying to help out with that. And you saw the picture with Georgie from Namibia. I'm just trying to take Tour and make them cool again, right? Not that they weren't, not that they haven't been, but it's kind of fell on a plane, and I want to make Tour that company again, because back in the day, Tour, everyone wanted to wear Tour, right? And so I'm trying to bring that back, make Tour cool again, and trying to make it so everyone, Tour's the cool brand. And so hopefully, you don't end up looking like that. I don't know what to say there. That's me in high school. I was the only kid wearing mission gloves for the ice team because it was
Those were the three-finger gloves for a second.
Oh, I had those two.
Yeah.
I had those two. I
hand gloves.
pretty much all hand-me-downs until I finally started working and could pay for my own equipment. But
I have a case of those gloves, brand new in the plastic, three-finger gloves still.
I had those my first year because I didn't know. I just bought roller hockey gloves because I didn't know anything about ice hockey. I actually tried out. They were almost mittens. They were just right. I actually went to tryouts. So, but yeah. So I don't really, for all intents and purposes, I don't have a full-time job right now. I have a bunch of, I don't know what's going on all the way out there. I have a bunch of part-time jobs.
I gotta cut you off. In this picture, were you just thinking, I hope I can work for State Wars one day? Is that what was going through your mind on the trip?
I want to be the broadcaster of professional roller hockey. That was me back when I didn't eat healthy and work out like crazy. That was me in high school. That's why I didn't have any girlfriends.
That was you in Stand By Me. I thought that was.
Yeah. I can't believe that picture was awful because like she's like, hey, let's do senior pictures. So I went and I tried to like do cool hockey pictures, like draft pictures. Like I'm never going to get drafted because I'm 265 and can't move, but my hands are really good. I'm never going to get drafted. And then my mom's like, let's do some serious pictures. And they're like, okay, sit on the train tracks. They're like, okay, smile. I'm like, I can't do a serious pic. So I just like tried to make faces. And yeah, that was me in high school back in the day. 265 pounds. I was a monster.
Then you started eating those Trefty bars, and you haven't looked back since, Trefty.
Yeah. And now I got a girlfriend that's way too hot for me. So it works out. Hard work pays off. If you be a nice guy and you treat people with respect, like, stuff works out.
If she's still with you after this quarantine, you're doing something right. So.
Hey, we're having a heck of a time because Chipotle delivers. The Mets aren't playing, so I can't be mad every single night when the bullpen blows it. The only thing is there's no hockey, but I've been working so much with USHL. We're having a heck of a time. So
you could go back to the old days, have your imaginary games out in the yard, skate around on the dirt, and you'd be just like your childhood, Yep. No, but I think you bring up a great thing in closing here. And John Seamer touched on this the other day. He was brought up, he said, in a very modest upbringing, didn't come from a lot of money, couldn't take lessons and all this stuff like maybe a lot of kids in California were, had to get sponsored to play on a team, hand-me-down equipment and whatnot from the rink. And I think him and now you is just a great lesson for people out there to see that, you don't have to have your kid in a lesson with a $300 an hour instructor 7 days a week to become a good hockey player. You have to love the game. You have to work hard, stick with it, give your all in life, no matter what it is. And, your mind and your abilities can take you to a lot of great places. And I'm just so proud of you, Trefty, just as a friend, just how successful and how you've taken your passion to new heights on the broadcasting side. And what you're doing is incredible. And from watching you prepare and whatnot, I'm sure your preparation and your skill set is just as good as anyone at the higher levels of the NHL. As you know, it's just like being a player. It's all about getting that break or who and all those frustrating things. But just keep working hard at it and doing what you love. And when you're really passionate, you love something, people can see that. And it means a lot to us to see how much hard work you put into State Wars with every single game, whether it's that 11 o'clock at night men's A game or it's that 7 a.m. 2003 single A game or the Palma Pro final. You're giving it your all the same way, and that's great to see. And obviously from a company standpoint, from State Wars Hockey, that's why we're so proud to have you as one of our main contributors to the event.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And just everybody remember, you can't teach passion, right? So everyone has a passion, but you can ruin it. So if somebody has a passion, if a kid has a passion about something, don't ruin it. My mom, like the amount of odd jobs she has to do and overtime she did, and my grandpa, the sacrifices he made was incredible because they knew how much I loved hockey. And if I didn't have hockey, who knows where I'd be? I'd probably be in jail. Honestly, I have no idea because without hockey, I wouldn't be anywhere. So just know that, like, if your kid loves hockey or if someone loves something, just embrace it, no matter how much you like it or love it, just because it could change their life and give them a chance, right? I had a chance because of the sport of hockey. And, just always remember that you can't teach passion, but you can easily throw it down the drain and ruin it.
No, for sure. All right. Well, Trefty, you have a great rest of your Thursday. We really appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to be with us. We know you got a lot of stuff going on with the USHL and tour hockey. And I personally could say I see a huge change in the tour hockey, just the way they're marketing themselves now. And that's all at your hands. And I know when I had talked to Chad about you before you got hired, we talked about it. And I'm definitely real impressed with the work you're doing for them. And it's no shock to me what a great job you're doing there. So keep up the good work with tour hockey. They're an important partner of ours, and we'll talk to you real soon, and look forward to seeing you at the Taylor Sportsplex in a few months.
Awesome. Stay safe, guys.
Thanks, Trefty.
Take care. All right, that was Chris Treft, all the way from Georgia. And Georgia's one of those states that's been opening up a little bit more than everywhere else, so I'm surprised he's not allowed at a rink even already to go skating around. But yeah. He talks about passion, Greg, and it's so true, as a parent of 3 kids that play sports now, and even not sports, it's just what you want to see from your kid is you want them to be passionate about something, whether it's, I don't care if it's drawing, as an artist, or playing an instrument, or just their studies, or obviously a sport as a dad is always fun to see, but you just want your kid to be passionate about something. And it makes you feel so good because it's something they look forward to doing. And as you know, as a young kid that got passionate about hockey, your whole life becomes about that sport. Like all you want to do is play and practice. And it's just so great for a parent. And I can't imagine having a kid who's just not into anything and how frustrating that's got to be. And, maybe some parents that are so hard on their kids, the kids stop doing stuff because they just are so sick of getting yelled at by their parents. So I think Treft brings up a good point about feeding that passion and just letting it blossom on its own like a flower.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head there. I mean, when I think of Trepty, I think of passion. Everything he does is with passion. Whether it's like you said, prepping for his games or even playing in his hockey games, he's always ready. When he's coaching, obviously, he's very passionate. He's always coming up to the office. Oh yeah, I should have done this. We should have done this. And he's looking at the stats and the standings and whatnot. But for a kid who grew up playing in dirt, like you said, it's pretty remarkable where he's come from and where he is now. It's because of the passion that he has and the love of the sport. He loves his broadcasting. He loves media. He loves hockey, and he
loves himself.
He does, yeah, and
which is great.
Yeah,
everyone should love themselves, right?
You're right. And he should be really proud of himself for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny, we always bust his chops about him and Bailey, they're like Siamese twins, and I could see her shadow moving in the wall a little bit. So I know she was watching him on that. They have such a cool relationship, and she's a great gal and worked with us last year at State Wars, did our merchandise for a while and helped with the setup and whatnot. And they have a great relationship, which is great for him and them to see that. And this quarantine is the ultimate test, as being locked with your gal the whole time, just you two. I have some kids to get in the way, but I know there's been plenty of days my wife and I are ready to kill each other during this. So if you can make it through this, she's a keeper, or he's a keeper. But the one time I knew with Trefty that he was a keeper for us was, and it was almost not obnoxious, but he was getting so frustrated with the camera guys, and I had to tell him to calm down. The camera guys just weren't used to doing hockey, and they were making mistakes, and he's a perfectionist, right? So it's great for us as the heads of the tournament to see the guys below you that are so passionate about making everything perfect too, and he expects that perfection. But I knew right away that he was the man for us when I just saw how passionate he was about everything being done right, and just how frustrated he gets when it's not done right, which is great to see. But then, we had Shane Fox on to start this, and I can't say enough great things about Shane Fox. I said earlier, I'm jealous. When I was playing hockey, like I said earlier, I got into my first national tournament in 1993. So I was 20 years old, a young buck for me, but still pretty old to get into my first tournament. You think of these kids now, how young they're playing. So there wasn't a State Wars then to play in. There wasn't an Arch yet to play in. We had the USARS Nationals for a couple of years, but that was the first year. But no opportunities to play overseas, no opportunities to play in college, no opportunities to play for even Team USA yet until that year. So I look at a Shane Fox and yourself, and I'm just so jealous of all the opportunities that are out there right now for these kids. And I hope the young guys out there who are passionate about the sport take advantage of those opportunities and research them to play for your school. I'm sure you'll say that playing for Lindenwood was one of the best times of your life, and Team USA as well. And you played in Barcelona for a bit overseas, just like Shane is for France. Just awesome opportunities, right?
Yeah, he's really fortunate. I always tell these guys, enjoy it while you can, because once it's over, your life's not the same. Obviously, I'm very fortunate because I get to work in hockey every day with you. So obviously, I'm very, very fortunate with that. But guys who don't really know what they're going to do after college, go play a couple years in Europe and enjoy it. And he's done that. I'm just not sure if he's going to go back next year. I'm not sure if he mentioned that to you or not. I'm not sure if he's made a decision, but at some point you got to come to a time where you're like, oh, like Travis Snow did, he's like, I got to go back home and actually start working and come back to reality and the States and start working.
Next week we'll have PJ Cavalla on, who's almost 40 years old and he's still playing over there. So, it's around a little bit longer. So
Yeah, he's got a good gig over there. You know, he's coaching a lot of teams. He's found his wife over there. So PJ's got a good thing going on in Europe right now. So that'd be cool to have him on next week.
yeah, we're looking forward to having the voice on next week. And like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna have Max Halverson from the Tour Roadrunners on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna have a couple surprises as well. Some guests we're working on getting on hopefully next week. But hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. It was definitely fun. Once again, every week I look forward to my Tuesdays and Thursdays for this. I hope you guys at home are. I know a lot of people have been checking these podcasts out, but please continue to share them with other people. They are live now, of course, but they're saved on our YouTube channel at SWH Podcast. So share that with other people so they can go back on and watch. We're doing this for you guys, of course, to keep you guys interested in the sport and just updated and educated on a lot of cool people in the sport. And Shane Fox and Chris Treft are definitely two of the best.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page as well when you're on there, just so you get all the current and uploaded videos that we post. So definitely subscribe as well.
And like we mentioned, the big news earlier today, we're going to push State Wars back to August 1st to the 10th. We'll be putting out a block schedule for the adjustments for those dates, just to give ourselves a little bit more time. And with the Taylor Sportsplex in the city there, it's a little smarter and better for us to push the event back slightly, get into that month of August. Gives us 3 months now before the event. So we're still hoping and praying that things will be great to play in that tournament. So I hope you guys are preparing for that. We look forward to seeing many of you guys at the Taylor Sportsplex this August in Michigan. I'm Tim McManus. I'm speaking here for me and Greg Thompson. Hope you guys have a great rest of the Thursday and a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavalla, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors: Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.